All right, here we go. Welcome into Chicago Bears Now. My name is Harrison Graham. Happy Thursday, everybody. Hope you guys are getting ready for a nice weekend. I will say, it feels weird not having a game to get ready for. You know, it's been kind of a weird week. We're used to be well into the offseason at this point, but I got to say, I miss the feeling of getting ready for a big game. So I'm already looking forward to next season, but it's going to be a fun offseason, and I hope you guys are with us the entire way. Let us know where you guys are tuning in from. Eric Green, I don't even know where that stands at this point, the Ian Cunningham situation, if he were to get the Falcons GM job. I don't know if they get the picks or not. I know that there was Arthur Blank came out and said that the GM would be in charge of the roster. So, to me, that's a forward move despite Matt Ryan's presence. So, I'm not sure where that stands. Hopefully, if he does get that job, the Bears get 2 third-round picks. But I don't know for certain if that would be the case. So, hopefully that is the case. But we will find out. Like I said, Colin, it feels weird not having a game. Your team has a game this weekend, but it feels weird for us, the channel. No Bears football this weekend. It's kind of sad.
Yeah, I mentioned to you, as I make sure that I'm unmuted here, I mentioned to you before the show that, felt a little nostalgia building a mock draft. But to your point, last year we were well into mock draft season. So
I am dropping my first mock. Now, technically, if you want to be overly technical, this is the third 2026 Bears mock draft I have done, but the first one we did was back in May, just our way too early edition, and then we did one in October during the Bears bye week. This is the first one with the offseason underway, and it's the first one with the Bears locked in with the number 25 pick, so we are going to count today as 1.0, but so I guess that's a silver lining. My first mock draft drops today, and hopefully you guys like it. We'll see. We shall see. We got Charles in Louisville, amazing in Chicago. Who's your daddy from Danny? Shout out to the Hoosiers. Hoosiers. That was awesome to see. They were hanging on for dear life, Colin. It felt like Miami was the stronger team in the second half, but Indiana made plays when they had to.
That they did.
The 4th and 5 draw was clutch.
Ultimately the season came down on Carson Beck interception. Who would have thought? But
fitting into his career. We got Acid in Tampa, all Jalen in Chicago, Crown Point, Indiana from Tom, Bagley, Wisconsin from Greg. Appreciate you guys tuning in. All right, we are going to get into some free agent talk too. What is the Bears' biggest roster need this offseason? To me, it's 1A, 1B. Defensive tackle, edge, can really go either way. You need more impactful players along your defensive line. So let me know what you guys think on that. I'll get a few shout-outs in a sec. I do want to hit a few super chats, though. Dennis, the Chicago kid, kicking us off. Or is this an old super chat?
This one is.
Here's a new one. He says, I'd expect Thibodeau to be made available. Kayvon could be. Obviously, that'll probably be a big John Harbaugh decision. Does he want to keep Kayvon Thibodeau? He's entering his 5th-year option. I would have some interest there. The problem is, Colin, if you trade for him, you probably have to extend him right away.
Right.
What is Kayvon Thibodeau going to cost you on an extension? It's probably north of $20 million a year.
You would think, yeah.
You talking, is it 4 for 100? Is it 25 a year? Is it 4 for 88? I like Kayvon Thibodeau, but
yeah,
I don't know. I'm not against it, but how much am I giving up in a trade for him? How much do I have to pay him? What is his ceiling? Can he be a top guy on a defensive line? I don't really view him like that. I kind of view him like Montez Sweat, which if he was a free agent, I'd be open to signing him to a good contract. But if I have to trade big capital and pay him, if I don't view him as a top guy, I'd rather just go sign Trey Hendrickson or something like that, or Jalen Phillips. I'd rather just sign somebody that's, similar.
10 games last year, 2.5 sacks. Again, sacks aren't everything.
Bunch of pressures. He was good against the run, but that's a guy that feels like he's going to get a lot of money.
A lot.
I don't know. I'm a little hesitant there. A little hesitant. If you told me it was a third-round pick and it was right at 20 a year, I mean, I'd probably be open to that. But I don't know. If I'm trading for an edge, I'd almost rather take a bigger swing with a more certain player. Okay, Michael. Nope, still mad. LOL. Yeah, I hear you, man. I hear you. I was more sad than mad, but Ben Johnson's turned the page. We got to turn the page as well. Andres, I think Harris leaves. Doyle is still too green as an OC. Yeah, I mean, Al Harris, we'll talk about it. He's already interviewed with Green Bay. Washington's going to interview him. Wouldn't shock me if a couple more popped up, especially as these head coaching jobs fill up. Like, he could get looks for those teams to be their DC. Philadelphia requested Declan Doyle. We'll see if that materializes. But, yeah, if I had to guess, I think Declan Doyle is more likely to leave than Al Harris is more likely to leave than Declan Doyle. But see what happens. The good news is, like in the Declan Doyle case, if you did leave, don't get me wrong, I'd like to have him back. This is why having Ben Johnson as the head coach is so valuable. Like, he's the play caller. So, like, yeah, he'll have to get someone to replace Declan Doyle, but he's not irreplaceable. Al Harris isn't irreplaceable, but I think he's got more value than Declan Doyle on this coaching staff.
No doubt. And here's the thing with Declan Doyle, because he's in a similar position to Grant Udinski, who's obviously getting a bunch of interviews with Cleveland and now also Buffalo. If Doyle blows Philadelphia away in the interview process, just says, they really enjoy the conversation. They like the way he talks about football, all this, that, and the other. It's not out of the realm of possibility that Doyle could potentially look at getting an OC job where he could call plays. Now, again, the Bears should obviously block that, but
which I don't think they would, to be for what it's worth. I think Ben will let him take that interview and would let him go if they offered it.
Yeah.
Based on how he spoke the other day. I mean, he was asked about his assistants getting looks, and he said, I'm all for it. I want these guys to take steps in their career. I don't think he would block that opportunity. Could be wrong. They have the right to, but I don't think he would do that. And I think that kind of earns you goodwill with future coaches. It's like, hey, I'm not going to block you from interviewing when you don't call the plays. Like, if Doyle was the play caller, you would block it. Like, that's an easy decision. But I think Ben will let that interview go through and let him go if he got offered the job. So we'll see.
I mean, if you had to, based on, because you've obviously listened to a lot of the coordinator press conferences that Doyle's had throughout the year, he's obviously looked at as one of these really bright minds, obviously coming from Sean Payton. Ben Johnson really spoke about the value of adding him to this coaching staff. Do you believe he's somebody that after one season could potentially sway a Philadelphia be interested in, going down that route?
Yeah, I mean, you can tell he's an intelligent guy, and he's been under Sean Payton and Ben Johnson for the last 5 years, two of the better play callers in the sport. Mm-hmm. So, he could mesh kind of his favorite concepts from those two play callers. And, look, you never know when a guy becomes a first-time play caller.
For sure.
We didn't know what to expect as a first-time OC, and it's hard to measure because he doesn't call the plays, but clearly Ben has valued him a lot. So, I mean, I get Philadelphia being more interested in proven play callers, but a lot of those guys have said no to the Eagles. So they're kind of running out of options. Would you rather hire a mid OC who's called plays before? Honestly, Shane Waldron. I fell into that trap a couple years ago. I was like, he's called plays before. There's been, statistically decent. Let's just get a proven guy in here, even if he's not elite. I fell into that trap. It's almost like Tampa and Zach Robinson. Would you rather hire Zach Robinson or take the swing on Grant Udinski, Declan Doyle, someone who hasn't called plays, but the ceiling could be significantly higher? Now, it could also be lower because we haven't seen him do it. So it would be really interesting to see if the Eagles would take a chance or someone else on Declan. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, he came highly touted from Sean Payton, and clearly Ben's given him the gold star as well.
A known option that stinks or an unknown option that may not stink.
Or not even stinks. A known average option. Or
I think calling Zach Robinson average is kind of a stretch.
But
what I'm saying
any
is,
example, insert.
Yeah.
Like, I would say when the Bears hired Waldron, I would have put him into I think an above average category. I clearly overvalued him at the time. I think some of the advanced metrics were probably misleading. But, like, statistically, he was above average to good, his offenses. But, yeah, like, that's, because you're getting to the point in this cycle where, like, all the time, Mike McDaniel's off the market, right? Like, okay, Drew Petzing.
Mm-hmm.
I would put him in the average category.
Yeah, that's fair. That's
right?
like a better example, yeah.
Like, he had 2 years ago, he had pretty good success with the Kyler Murray-led offense where you have to kind of coach around Kyler Murray.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's an interesting discussion. It's kind of like some of these, like, if you're the Browns, like, you're going to promote Jim Schwartz, why not take the swing on Udinski or Shieldhouse and just see? Like, what's the best case scenario with Jim Schwartz? I don't even know who you get as OC.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you could still get Shieldhouse or Udinski maybe, but
I think with Schwartz, you would hire him if you're a franchise that needs somebody to stabilize and at least like have a grown-up in the building in terms of like, hey, we've had some turbulence here. Let's raise our floor a little bit. Obviously, we're not probably winning a Super Bowl with Schwartz, but that's not where Cleveland is. Like,
well, my thing with Cleveland, too, is like, to me, their turbulence is not based on the prior coach.
Yeah.
Stefanski would have been offered like half of these jobs. So, like, yeah, I'm with you. Like, the Raiders or something like that. I could see that, but like, any Browns chaos is not really coach-driven from the last few years. It's really just ownership. Okay, Tate Rapp. First weekend without the Bears since my son was born during the bye feels weird. First of all, good timing on when your son was born during the bye week. Shout out to you. Congratulations. And, yeah, it does feel weird. Feels weird, but, that's where we're at. That's where we're at. Anthony, my little sister, who didn't even know who Caleb Williams was 2 weeks ago, is now the biggest Bears fan after watching the playoffs with me. I swear on my life, I saw her watching this channel and even the 85 highlights. That's awesome, Anthony. Yeah, I think this team created a lot of new fans. I really do, because if you grew up or live in the Chicago area, let's say you're like under 20 years old, you haven't seen much winning. And if you're not a diehard sports fan, it's like, why would you have like been drawn to the Bears in the last several years? Well, this team like revitalized the city, and I do think created a lot of new fans. So it was cool to see, and hopefully it continues. Appreciate the 20, Anthony. Crisis King 5. Honestly, it's harder to draft a defensive tackle because there that many that popped out, because there's not that many that popped out, I would guess is what you're saying. However, I think you take a shot at John Franklin Myers, who's a free agent. Yeah, he's an interesting guy. He's kind of a tweener. Mm-hmm. I do wonder in a DA scheme, like, is he more of a big defensive end? But he's been productive with the Broncos the last few years. He has that versatility, can play inside and out. So stay tuned. We're actually going to talk about him a little bit later.
We'll say this. Franklin Myers will get paid this offseason.
Yeah, I don't know what, like,
he will get paid.
What do you think he gets?
I think he commands,
like the Dio deal, but even more. Dio got 3 for 48.
Yeah,
does he get 3 for 60?
Yeah, it wouldn't shock me if he's pushing $20 million a year. It would not shock me at all. Yeah. I think he's been a really productive, and especially to your point, like the fact that he can create that pressure and disruption from the interior. Like, that's valuable in this league because those guys don't grow on trees.
And they don't become available often.
Yeah, so, I mean, I
think he could spring loose from Denver, though, because they have a lot of guys on that front. And let's be honest, Benito's on a team-friendly deal. They're about to have to give him even more money.
Yeah.
Zach Allen's there. They're not going to let him go anytime soon. Jonathan Cooper's a good player. Can't keep everyone.
Yeah. I will say, too, sneaky, like, defensive tackle draft class that we've got here coming up.
Do you have a favorite one?
If you would watch Jags now, you know it.
The tech kid, he's your favorite.
He's like,
you like him more
for
than
day 2, yeah.
Is Caden McDonald your top one, the Ohio State kid?
Yeah, I think McDonald certainly is like.
He's been mocked to the Bears a lot.
Yeah.
Stay tuned to see if I mocked him at 25.
I like Banks out of Florida as well too. I think he's going to be.
If he was healthy this year, I think he could have been a top 15 pick, top 10.
I think he'll probably go back in first round. Maybe slips in a round 2. I doubt it, but
a lot of his will be medical. Medical driven.
But even then, there's
Kristen Miller in the chat. Someone's saying
Kristen Miller,
late round 1, early day 2, probably.
There's also this kid. I'm blanking on his name. Last name Orange. He's known as Big Citrus at Iowa State.
Oh, Dominique Orange.
Dominique Orange.
He's electric.
Yes, can move at his size.
If you told me the Bears got him in round 2, I don't know if he falls to late round 2 though. That's the thing.
He's about a mid to late round 2 guy. I mean, again, we're very early on in this process, but point being that if you're the Bears, if you don't necessarily, invest in defensive tackle in the free agency class or even round 1, there are still guys that could contribute to this roster. I feel like even on day 2 of the draft. So.
Yeah, I agree. There'll be a couple guys.
All right, we are caught up. So,
all right, hit that like button, and we will get this rolling. We got a lot of content to get into, so we'll go ahead and get the ball moving. Hit that like button on today's show. Andres, let's go ahead and flash that one. It's a cool super chat. Yep. Hit the like button. Let's get more Bears fans in here. Grayson Halton, are you familiar with him?
I've not. I've not done a full deep dive into some of the defensive tackles, or at least some of the deeper defensive tackles.
Let's look him up. Let's see. Let us see.
Someone says Myles Garrett. Haven't heard of him before.
Not familiar.
Not familiar. Didn't you draft
Oklahoma. I should know this guy. 7 TFLs, 3.5 sacks. Okay, I'll look into him.
Yeah.
Look into him.
I'll definitely, we're going to be talking, obviously, defensive line, I would imagine, a good amount this offseason. So,
yep.
But I think there is some value in the D-tack spot. There really is. We'll also get to Adventure Dudes here in a second. Andres, had strangers on the streets of Chicago walking by me, see my Bears sweater and beanie, and yell, "Go Bears, football is so back."
I've heard a lot of stories like that. Look, Chicago is a great sports town, and look, don't get me wrong, you know, the Jordan years, the D-Rose years, the Cubs. But when the Bears are good, it is a Bears town. It is a Bears town. No question about it.
Yeah.
I mean, have you seen just the energy around Caleb Williams at these sporting events? Went to the Blackhawks game, went to the Bulls game. Like, they are fired up about this football team moving forward, and they should be. So.
That in general, and I'm not just saying this because we're on a Bears Now show, Chicago is one of the best sports towns in all of the country.
Oh, it's fantastic.
I mean, the fans literally sit there with what they've had to deal with across major sports. They still show up each and every night, each and every week. Like, truthfully, like, it's an awesome sports city.
Yeah, it's one of the best, if not the best in the country.
All right. Well, of course, they went away. We'll get Adventure Dude up here in a second. He says, do you think we get Max Crosby for a second and DJ Moore?
We can save that for the mailbag, too, Adventure Dudes. We'll flash it now.
Yeah.
The answer is no, but we can flash that in the mailbag, too. That's not enough.
Not enough.
You're going to have to trade at least a first-round pick as one of the picks.
Yeah. I'm not going to spoil it in the chat, but somebody might have had a peek at Harry's mock draft. I'm going to spoil it.
Uh-oh.
Someone might have had a peek.
Can't find prize picks. Hang on a second. Control F is not working. Okay, here it is.
I'll kind of flash this as Harry's kind of just making sure he's got all his ducks in a row.
Yeah, I'm good. We're ready to go. Here's what's coming up on Chicago Bears Now. Coaching staff news. Declan Doyle, Al Harris, Bieniemy officially gone. The first two are not officially gone, to be clear, but they are drawing interest. There's Jesse Minter to Baltimore, by the way.
Oh, there we go.
It is official.
The Ravens are hiring Jesse Minter.
So 5 down, 5 to go for the NFL head coaching cycle.
The prodigal son returns to Baltimore. Made sense.
Yeah.
That was always going to be the most likely option.
Well, Jesse Minter hired Declan Doyle as OC. I will be curious to see who he hires as OC.
Yeah.
I can't imagine they would bring Greg Roman back, but he is connected to him from the Chargers and the Ravens.
That's like a break glass in case of an emergency type of hire in terms of like he can't find
that, or maybe he's back as run game coordinator or something like that. Lamar apparently likes Cliff, so maybe he hires Cliff as OC. That would be interesting. All right, Jesse Minter, speaking of coaching staff news, so we're not talking about that here, but we'll talk about Declan Doyle, Al Harris, Bieniemy officially gone, including a couple of Chiefs legends commenting on Bieniemy's return. So I thought that was pretty interesting. We'll take your questions, #Bears or Super Chat, to get your questions answered on this handy-dandy program. And then my first mock draft. Technically third, but really the first now that the offseason is here. 1.0. We'll get into that, and then we'll take a look at some free agent targets as well. Busy show. We're locked in. Lock in with us here on Chicago Bears Now. I'm Harrison Graham. There is good news and bad news on the coaching front in the coaching carousel when it comes to the Chicago Bears and their assistant staffers being linked to other jobs. We will kind of break that all down in the latest here on today's show. Our next milestone here on the channel is 156,000 subs. You guys could continue to answer the bell. I'll put this channel pound for pound against any at Chat Sports right now with just the audience response over the last couple of months. You guys have been incredible. If you want free and daily Bears content throughout the offseason, we're going to be here. We're not missing a day, so lock us in and subscribe. It is free. All right, let's get into the latest on Declan Doyle as the Bears offensive coordinator has drawn an interview request from the Philadelphia Eagles. Adam Schefter had the news earlier today saying that the Eagles have requested to interview Declan Doyle for their OC position. Doyle was hired last offseason as the youngest NFL offensive coordinator. He previously coached under Sean Payton in New Orleans and Denver. And yeah, despite being 29, about to be 30, Declan Doyle worked under Sean Payton for 4 years. Now he's worked under Ben Johnson for a year, two of the smartest offensive minds going in the NFL, and the Eagles are interested. Now, technically, the Chicago Bears could block this interview request because even though it would be a play calling job, it's still considered a lateral move since he does hold the offensive coordinator title in Chicago. Now, there are workarounds from the Eagles. They could be like, oh, we'll slap assistant head coach title on his job or something like that. All that being said, I do not expect the Bears to block this interview request or to block the opportunity if Doyle was offered the job, because in reality, calling plays is a forward move, even if technicality from a definition standpoint that the league defines it as a lateral move, it really is a forward move. And the reason I think that is because of Ben Johnson's comments yesterday. This is why I don't think he would block this interview. He said, I know we already have some slips coming through that other teams would like to interview some of our guys, and I'm all for it. I just told the players this just a week or two ago that it's rare in year one that you feel like you have a 5-star staff, and yet that's what I believe. Over the course of the season, seeing how they conducted themselves, what they sacrificed, the time they put in, we've got a great collection of coaches. It's the right mix of experience, energy, and ideas. So I think they're a big reason for the success we were able to have in the games we were able to win. I see future head coaches on this staff. I see future coordinators. And I just think it'd be kind of tough if you made that comment and said, hey, we want our guys to, he also made a comment of, we want these guys to ascend in their careers. Yeah, Declan, I know that would be a play calling opportunity, but we're going to block that interview. Now, I wouldn't blame Ben if he blocked it. If you value Declan Doyle a ton, you could block that interview, but I don't think he will. I think he'll let him interview, and if the Eagles offer the job, I think he would let Declan Doyle go because, that's goodwill for the future, right? I think coaches around the league would appreciate that. If we're being honest, it is really a forward move if he got a chance to go call plays. Now, will he get the job? I have no idea. I will say this for Philadelphia. Some of the proven OC candidates out there have told them no. Brian Dable, if he doesn't get the Bills head coaching job, is reportedly going to Tennessee. Mike McDaniel did not want to go to Philadelphia over the Chargers or even probably the Lions, although Detroit told McDaniel no for some other reason. There's been a couple of others as well. So, Philadelphia is kind of into its second-tier list of candidates, and Declan Doyle has entered that fray. So we'll see, when he interviews, assuming he does. Again, if the Bears allow him to, and B, if he is a serious candidate. Would he want to work with Jalen Hurts? I'm not sure, but it would be very, very fascinating to see him be a 30-year-old play caller in that pressure cooker of a franchise if you are Declan Doyle. So I'd be fascinated to see it. I want him back, but the good news is Ben Johnson's the play caller. So, I love Declan Doyle, but he's replaceable if he goes elsewhere. Will Declan Doyle be back next season? Type Y for yes, type in for no. I think he's probably back. I doubt Philly ends up hiring him, but you never know. You have a good team, guys are going to be drawing interest elsewhere. We've seen that already with the Chicago Bears. This guy's really drawing interest, and I do think it's more likely than not that he will be on a different coaching staff next season. That is Al Harris, the defensive backs coach for the Chicago Bears. The latest on him is that he has already interviewed with the Green Bay Packers. The Washington Commanders are interested, as well as multiple teams are taking a look at him as their defensive coordinator. We'll dive a little bit more into that coming up here in just a few moments. But first, got to tell you guys about our awesome sponsor. That is Prize Picks. Daily fantasy made easy at prizepicks.com/CLNS. Get going with Prize Picks today. The big game is almost here, and there's no better way to cash in during America's biggest sporting event than with Prize Picks, where it always feels good to be right. And since the big game is right around the corner, that also means it's your last chance to get into the football action before next season. So close the season outright with Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. Prize Picks is the only app that offers stacks, meaning you can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. If you want to pick more on your favorite quarterback's passing yards, rush yards, and touchdowns, now you can, all in the same lineup, only on Prize Picks. I got a 2-player lineup for this weekend. I took more on Matthew Stafford's pass attempts against Seattle. They've been throwing a lot recently, as we saw the other night. And I'll take Sam Darnold more than 7.5 rushing yards. A little concerned about the oblique. Maybe he won't run much, but typically he's good for a couple of key scrambles a game. $20 lineup to win $60. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use our code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It is good to be right. Okay, Al Harris has interviewed with Green Bay. That took place on Wednesday. And then he will interview with the Commanders. They've requested him, I guess, unless he declines the interview, which I don't see why he would unless Green Bay offered him the job. That would probably take place this weekend, maybe Friday. We'll see. And I could see there being others being interested as well, especially as these head coach jobs get filled up. They're going to need to hire defensive coordinators too. So there's still a lot of potential opportunities out there for Al Harris, who, look, he's built quite the resume, right? His 4 years in Dallas, Dan Rogers had the note. They led the NFL in those 4 seasons with 72 in interceptions. I don't think that's a coincidence. And I think the reason it's not a coincidence is he leaves Dallas, and in his first year in Chicago, the Bears lead the NFL in interceptions with 23. 3 All-Pros under his tutelage. Trayvon Diggs, who's now a bum, but under Al Harris, who's very good. Deron Bland was not as good this year without Al Harris. And Kevin Byard's been good for a while, so I don't want to give Al Harris too much credit for him. But you know who I will give a lot of credit for with Al Harris? A guy like Nashawn Wright, being near the top of the NFL in takeaways this year. I think he had 8 total, 5 picks, created 3 fumbles as well, recovered 1 or 2 of them. He's got a 5-year track record now for creating takeaways. Now, being the DC calling plays, it's a different deal, but you got to get your first chance somehow, right? And for half a decade, his secondaries have led the NFL in interceptions. It's a pretty strong resume, especially now that it's been with 2 different teams. So we'll see if he gets a chance. Feels like he will sooner rather than later. It would suck to see him go to Green Bay, but he did play there for 7 years. It wouldn't surprise us. I mean, let's be honest, he'd be dumb to not take that job if he got offered it. So I'm not going to rip him if that is the case. I'd rather see him in Washington, but, I wouldn't be shocked if he went to Green Bay. And if he gets offered the job, I fully expect him to take it. If you don't want Al Harris in Green Bay, or if you just hate the Packers in general like I do, get the FGBs going on in the comment section below. FGB, FGB. FGB. Hopefully Al Harris stays or ends up elsewhere. And then lastly, Eric Bieniemy, the running backs coach, he is leaving. It has become official in the last 24 hours that the Kansas City Chiefs are making him their offensive coordinator once again. And look, I think that speaks volumes that they're bringing him back after a few years away. He obviously did a hell of a job this year with DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai. Swift had a career year. Monangai was one of the best rookie runners in the NFL. He's a good football coach. Like, he deserves to be an OC again. Quite frankly, I wouldn't be shocked in a few years if he got back in the head coach mix and got some interviews. And I think it speaks volumes, too, when Patrick Mahomes is fired up about it, him being back. And Travis Kelce, who many kind of assumed would retire, and could technically still retire, but had this to say on his podcast with his brother Jason, said, I can't wait to see him back in the building, man. He's one of my favorite coaches of all time. It's going to be awesome to see him back in the building. Doesn't sound like it. He's retiring to me. So they're pretty fired up to have him back. And look, yes, it stinks when you lose good coaches. That's the bad news. But the good news is you have good coaches and you have a head coach that people want to coach with. Like, that's fantastic. Eric Bieniemy had no ties to Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson calls him up. Hey, you want to be my running backs coach? Let's do it. That's a hell of a hire, man. And it worked out well. So if you're another up-and-comer, or if you're looking to kind of, get your career back on track, taking this running backs coaching job would probably be pretty smart. So we'll see who that ends up being. Maybe it's Will Lawing, who Ben Johnson just hired from Boston College. But I think the Bears are in a good position moving forward with Ben Johnson as head coach and Dennis Allen as defensive coordinator, because those two guys aren't going anywhere. Dennis Allen is not getting another head coaching gig, so the only way he leaves is if he A, retires, or if the defense is bad for numerous years and they just fire him. But I think with what he had to work with this year, given all the injuries, he did a good job, and obviously Ben's doing a hell of a job. So fired up about that. It's definitely more good news than bad. You want to keep good coaches, but I have full faith that Ben is going to find the right guys to replace these guys with if they do exit stage right. All right, thank you guys so much for tuning in to Chicago Bears Now. My name is Harrison Graham. We will continue to pump out the content, and when we have news and updates around coaches potentially leaving or guys coming to join this staff, we will have that covered as well. As always, bear down. Mailbag coming up. Hashtag Bears or Super Chat. Get your questions answered here on the program. We will be answering you guys' Super Chats. Mm-hmm. That's what we do.
Or hashtag Bears questions.
Mm-hmm.
We'll start. We'll include Adventure Dudes in there. I'm just trying to see. Making sure we answer some. So if you came in after Adventure Dudes, which that's Noah Cash, we'll probably include yours on the mailbag.
Also worth mentioning, with Jesse Minter heading to Baltimore, that's another DC job opening.
Yep.
I don't know if Jim Harbaugh would be interested in Al Harris, but as these jobs continue to get filled, and it's just, there's going to be more opportunities and more staffs that need to be filled out. So Doyle and Harris are going to draw interest. You could see Antoine Randall and or JT Barrett get some OC looks potentially. So probably not the end of this at this point in time. So stay tuned. We'll have it all covered. Okay, Wasim, Chicago is a Bears town. They'll get Hendrickson. I'd be all for it, man. Colin, if you could get Trey Hendrickson 2 years and $50 million for 30-35 guaranteed,
do it.
I'd just do it, right?
Just do it.
I would just do that and bring him on board. I don't know what his market ends up being. I feel like it's gone down since he was banged up this year and finished the year on IR, but he'll still get a lot of money. But I think his days of trying to get $40 million, I think that's over. I think he's going to have to take 25, maybe $30 million per year, and it's going to be on a 1 or 2 year deal. So if you can get him on a 2 year deal, guarantee 2/3 of it, kind of a 1.5 plus half type of contract, sign me up. Let's do it. You put him opposite of Montez Sweat, draft a defensive tackle to help bolster that unit, maybe sign a cheaper vet to put in the interior as well. If you went Hendrickson, Sweat, and then Booker as your third, I think Booker as a number 3 edge would be pretty damn good. He came along nicely this year. So,
DC Viper, Hendrickson is over 30. No. Because no pass rusher in the NFL has ever succeeded.
Yeah,
once they
I'm not
paid
giving
the
him a
30.
5-year deal. I'm giving him a 1 or 2 year deal. I'm not giving him 4 for 150, which is probably what he wanted, 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Giving him 2 for 50.
Yeah. I mean, listen, he had a down year. He's not worth what he would be if you traded for him last season.
He still probably would have had like 10 or 11 sacks if he didn't get hurt.
Right.
And Trey Hendrickson just turned 31. It's not like he's 35. If he's healthy, he's still a very good pass rusher. One of the better ones in the league. Now,
He'd be the best one on the Bears tomorrow.
Yeah. Now,
respect to Montez Sweat, but
now you could debate, like, is Sweat a better all-around player, especially if you bring in a Hendrickson and he doesn't have to focus as much on pass rushing. Like, Sweat's definitely better against the run than Hendrickson, but, like, if you bring those two guys together, even if neither of them is like a true dominant force, I think as a 1-2, that's pretty damn good. Like that, I feel really good about your edge position if you got a Trey Hendrickson. Again, Hendrickson, Sweat, Booker, that's a good 1-2-3. Like I would feel very good about that. Draft a developmental guy, re-sign Dom Rob as your DE4 if you want. I thought as a DE4 this year he was pretty solid. So, yeah, he'd be feeling pretty good if the price is right. Let's see. Adam did a TikTok about leaving DJ behind. Over 70 comments later, it's a hot debate with an even split yes to no. Great for content. Yeah, I mean, DJ Moore trade is a hot button issue right now. Like I've said, he will either get traded or they will restructure his contract. He will not have a $28 million cap hit this year. That I can almost assure you. So we'll see where it ends up going. My gut tells me he's on a different team next year, but I don't think that's like guaranteed. I think there's a world where he's back, but it would either be on a pay cut or a restructured contract where they kind of just push this to next year, maybe get one more year out of him, and then trade him a year from now. So we'll see. Crisis King, besides the Bears, I want to see the Chicago White Sox win the World Series, and with them getting the number 1 overall pick, I hope them and the Bears get a Super Bowl and World Series. Yeah, the number 1 pick in baseball doesn't quite hit the same.
Nope.
Doesn't hurt, but like that guy may never be anything, and even if he is, he could be years away. So, yeah, in today's baseball where you have to spend, I think the White Sox are in some trouble. But we'll see. I thought they were at least more competitive last year. Chris would like to see Al Harris get a DC job. He's earned it with all the injuries. Still got quality play with fill-ins and produced turnovers. Yeah, I mean, look, for 5 years now, his defenses have led the NFL in interceptions. Like, that's a pretty strong resume to land a DC gig. Everybody becomes a first-time. Every defensive coordinator ever was a first-time DC at some point, right? So, like, that you build that reputation and resume over 5 years working with different players, 2 different franchises now, eventually you're going to get a chance. And I wouldn't be shocked if it was this offseason. Wouldn't
shock me at all either. Colin Graham with the $1.
Colin Graham.
Shout out.
If there's any good ones for the mailbag you want to save, we can do that.
I'm saving a few.
Hashtag Bears or Super Chat. We need more questions.
Just a couple more. But if you ask a really good question.
I see hashtag space. That's not going to get it done. All injustice. Need a hashtag Bears.
Got to lock in, man. You got 2 examples on the screen.
Lock in.
Come on, man. Get dialed.
Hashtag Bears or Super Chat.
What is, in your opinion, the biggest question for the Chicago Bears this offseason? Mr.
Patrick says y'all didn't answer mine. Is that one you're saving for the
Bevington? Let me see.
Jalen Kilgore and Xavier Harris.
Yep.
Yeah, we're saving that one for the mailbag, Patrick.
Yep. That one's...
A couple are getting saved for the mailbag.
Yeah, sorry. If I hadn't mentioned it already, you guys are asking really good questions. And if you Super Chat, you guarantee to get in the mailbag. So, yeah, Patrick, you're one of them. Noah, I think you're also in there. I think. Let me see. Yep.
If we haven't gotten to you on screen, we will do it in the mailbag. So...
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. There's a good chunk of y'all that are going to get in the mailbag. So, We will get into that here shortly. But yeah, just any quick thoughts, just in terms of like, I think just in general, like if you're, what's the like for this franchise this offseason that they're gonna have to answer? What is the biggest question, in your opinion?
The biggest question, I think. Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest internal decision is probably DJ Moore. It's like,
Fair enough.
do you want him? Like, is he valuable enough to you that you want to run it back another year? And if you do, what do you do with his salary? You probably just restructure it. I doubt he's taking a pay cut. And then externally, it's like, how do we bolster this D line? like internally, I mean, you're hoping guys like Shamar Turner, Doyle can come back and at least be contributors, but how do we get better on the defensive line? I think those are the two things from a roster construction standpoint. So, all right, here we go. We will get going on the mailbag. Hashtag Bears Super Chat. A few Super Chats to get to, plus your Hashtag Bears questions. Let's roll. I'm Harrison Graham. It is time for a Bears Now mailbag. Believe in Poles. How the turns table. Could Ryan Poles trade low on an aging Chiefs player and Chris Jones, kind of like he did with Joe Thuney last year? Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, right? Because the Chiefs, once again, are probably going to have to make some big decisions, with their roster, with their salary cap situation. How do they view next year with Mahomes coming off ACL? He said recently he expects to be ready to week 1, but we'll see if that turns out. Chris Jones is probably not in his peak form anymore. That being said, from an interior pass rushing standpoint, he's still one of the best in the league. At or near the top of the league in pressure. Still had 7 sacks last year. PFF had him as a top 3 highest graded pass rushing defensive tackle. Might have still been the highest, actually. He was 1 or 2. Jeffrey Simmons was the other one, I think. 90.7. Now his run defensive grade dipped to like 45. So, he's not going to stuff the run in there. But if you were going to trade for Chris Jones, which in the right circumstances I'd be open to, you do need to have a good run defender next to him. So, who is that? That's probably not Trevon Dexter, right? Grady Jarrett, I think down the stretch did well against the run, so maybe he's the answer there, even though he's not a true nose tackle. I do think a big challenge here would be the salary cap. If the Chiefs trade him, the incoming team that gets him, so the Bears in this case, would take on a $35 million cap hit because it's salary plus roster bonus, which is $16 million. Now, could the Chiefs convert that roster bonus, then trade him, or maybe the Bears rework his deal once they trade for him? You could figure that out, but I'd have a hard time thinking that 32-year-old Chris Jones, the Bears would want him playing on a $35 million cap hit. So we'll see. I could see the Chiefs turning the page on Chris Jones and saying, hey, it's been an awesome 10 years, but we're looking to go younger. And look, he is still an unreal pass rusher. If you put him next to Montez Sweat, that's a pretty formidable 1-2 punch on this defensive line. Again, you would just need a good run defending defensive tackle next to him. Would you trade? Let's call it a middle round pick. I don't think he's going for a 1 or 2 anymore. Maybe it's a 3 for Chris Jones. Let's call it a 3rd round pick for Chris Jones. Type Y for yes, type in for no. Again, I'm very open to it if you figure out the cap hit part of it, because $35 million that's kind of a non-negotiable for me for a 32-year-old defensive tackle. Okay, Adventure Dudes, appreciate the $10. Do you think we can get Max Crosby for a 2nd and DJ Moore? No, I do think that could be part of it, like a 2nd DJ and a 1st, or a 1st, a 3rd, and DJ, which was my proposal. It's going to be at least a 1st-round pick when you're talking about the picks part of it, right? So you're a pick short there, especially a 1st-round pick. So DJ Moore at most is worth a 3rd-round pick right now, as low as probably a 5th given his contract. So let's just meet in the middle, 4th. So you're saying a 2nd and a 4th for Max Crosby. I don't think that gets it done. I think you're going to have to throw a 1st in there. Okay, Noah Cash, if we won, what are the odds we win in Seattle? Probably not that high. I think heading into the game, the projected spread was going to be like Seattle -6. But hell, I would have loved to see. I would have loved to find out. I think what we learned with this Bears team, if they were just in it late in the game, they would have had a shot. But the reality is the Bears made too many mistakes. They didn't earn the right to play in the NFC Championship game. So I like Seattle this weekend against the Rams. I would have probably picked Seattle against the Bears too, if I'm being honest. I thought the Bears matched up better with the Rams, especially at home. But going to Seattle, that would have been a tough task, especially going up against that defense. Okay, today's show is sponsored by Ethos. When you bring a child into the world, your perspective changes overnight. That was certainly true for my wife and I when we had our son a couple of years ago. And for me, part of loving my family meant thinking about their future, even in uncomfortable ways. Life insurance is not a fun topic, but it's one you need to think about and talk about. And I'm so glad I found out about Ethos. I carry a lot of responsibility at home. If something happened to me, there are real consequences, like tuition, mortgage payments, everyday bills. Those things don't just disappear. Thinking about that used to feel overwhelming, but taking steps to protect my family financially changed that. That's why I got life insurance through Ethos. With Ethos, you can get life insurance in as little as 10 minutes. Ethos has no medical exams, just a few easy health questions online. You can get same-day coverage without ever leaving your house. Ethos makes getting life insurance fast and easy with it being 100% online. So protect your family with life insurance from Ethos right now by going to ethos.com/NFL Daily. Again, in as little as 10 minutes, you can get a free quote and up to $3 million in coverage. Ethos.com/NFL Daily. That is ETHOS.com/NFL Daily. Ethos.com/NFL Daily. Application times and rates may vary. Keep it rolling on the mailbag. Patrick with the 5. Appreciate it, Patrick Bevington. I know we talked about these higher draft picks, but have you looked into the later rounds, really like Jalen Kilgore and Xavier Harris in this draft? Well, if you're watching live on Thursday, I got my first mock draft coming up, so stay tuned. Did all 7 rounds. I've looked into Xavier Harris a little bit. He's huge. He's like 6'8", 320 or something like that for Ole Miss. He's a pretty intriguing player. Jalen Kilgore is the second South Carolina corner. Brandon Cece is like the potential first-round pick, but Kilgore's been productive as well. I do wonder if corner is like a sneaky pick, like on day 3, that they could target, especially if they're a little unsure on Zay Frazier. So keep an eye on that. But, yeah, I mean, I've started the ball's getting rolling. I'm not going to say I'm super down the line, but as I do more of these mocks, as we start doing more research, and my guy Cullen Brown doing his Cullen draft crushes, we'll knock out some of these prospects, and it'll be fun to talk about. Michael Frazier with the 5. Hear me out. First, Romello Heights. Second, Lee Hunter. Third, Jacob Rodriguez. I'm a Red Raider, so I'm biased, but you can't tell me that it doesn't make sense. Yeah, I'll be curious. Romello Heights, interesting. I've seen some people like him as a first-round pick. Some think he's more of a second. Bears picking late first. Maybe that's kind of the sweet spot. Lee Hunter, I know Cullen's really high on him. Jacob Rodriguez, third, fourth. I could see that. Again, with the Bears picking later in these rounds, third is probably more right. Yeah, I mean, Tech's got a lot of NFL talent this year, so I doubt they'll draft 3 Red Raiders on the trot, but they could certainly get 1 or 2 of them. That wouldn't shock me at all. Subscribe to the channel. We're dropping daily Bears content. I wish we were doing more live watch parties, but they'll be back next football season. We're still going live twice a week. More content as well. I've been kind of brain shopping some new, workshopping, I should say, some new content ideas also, maybe some sporadic random live shows. So we'll keep you guys locked in here on the channel. All right, Crimson, what would you think about the Bears drafting Akheem Mesidor in the first or second round? I like Mesidor a lot. He's older, but he's a hell of a pass rusher. You could argue, just in terms of like plug-and-play pass rusher, he's, I don't know, top 3 in this draft. Ruben Bain is very good. Could Mesidor be better as a rookie? That wouldn't shock me. Obviously, I'm a big David Bailey guy as well. But, yeah, I think Mesidor's a very, very talented player. Aaron Acosta, do we see TJ Parker in the draft as a Bears pick? Possibly. I think the Bears at 25 is probably like on the early end of his window, like mid-late first, early second. I could see anywhere from like 20 to 40 for him, somewhere in that range. If he has a huge combine pre-draft process, maybe cracks the top 20. Heading into this year, he was considered a top 10 pick. Didn't have a great year, though, but still a good collegiate career. But, yeah, on paper, he profiles well as an edge rusher. Okay, name a player that the Bears should trade for this offseason. If you had to pick somebody, obviously there's a lot of Max Crosby chatter. Maybe you want Myles Garrett, or maybe there's someone else that we haven't talked about. Let us know down in the comment section below. All right, Fernando, in my opinion, I believe Max Crosby was more of a defensive threat than Hendrickson. Oh, totally agree. I mean, he's much better against the run. Hendrickson, maybe he's a tick better as a pass rusher, but coming off injury, I guess both are technically. So we'll see on that one. But Crosby's definitely more of a complete player. I would spend good money trying to get Crosby. Yeah, I mean, look, the debate here is is Crosby even available? And if he is, how much do you have to give up to get him? Whereas with Hendrickson, you just sign him in free agency. Now, you'd have to outbid a few teams, but with Max, it's trade capital and pay him, and take on the contract and potentially give him a raise. Whereas with Hendrickson, it's like a 2-year, $50 million deal. So, there's pros and cons to all of it. But I definitely agree, and I think every general manager does, that Max Crosby is the better overall player. James, what is Cole Kmet's future with this team or in the league in general? I think he's here. I don't think he's going anywhere. My gut feeling, he signs a team-friendly 1 or 2 year extension. He's got 2 years left on his deal. Let's call it 2 years, $12 million, 2 for $15. He's gotten his big contract, 4 for $50, which he's in the middle of. 2-year extension on top of it, got 4 years left, plays those out, and maybe he's just done at that point, right? He'll be in his early 30s by then. He said before he doesn't feel like he's going to play into his mid-late 30s. Like, I could see him just being done at 32, 33. So he played a lot of snaps this year, blocks his ass off. He's a leader for this team. He's Chicago through and through. I don't think he's going anywhere. I think Ben Johnson values him. 12 and 13 personnel looks. He's still very reliable in the passing game, even though he's not, as fluid or explosive as Colston Loveland. Those two guys vibed together very well. I expect Cole to be here, and I want him on this football team. Appreciate all the questions. If you got more, hit me up in my DMs at HGramNFL. I'm going to try to catch up on them all this weekend. The playoffs have been hectic, so I haven't caught up on everyone, but I will try to do that this weekend at HGramNFL, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. You can also find me on Facebook now. Just search Harrison Graham Chat Sports. You'll find me there, but I'm all over the place, so if you want to interact with me, go follow and hit me up. All right, Fernie, what do you think about Mesidor? I think he's a good option for the draft. Stay tuned, Fernie. Stay tuned. No, I like Mesidor a lot. He's older, so, I'll say this, Colin. If he's not really good, at least by year 2, it's kind of brutal because he'll be 25 this spring. So, to me, if you draft him, at minimum, he has to be a good contributor as a rookie.
Right away.
He doesn't have to be a star right away, but he has to be good right away. He has to be at least as good as Austin Booker is right now, if not better. So, that's what you got to determine in this process. Sometimes these older prospects are better right away. So, that's what you would have to bank on. You need him to be good immediately. I think he's got the traits to be that. He's got the experience. He's been pretty damn good. So, I like him a lot. If he was 21, he would be a top 5 pick, I think.
What could be an interesting exercise as we get later and closer to the draft? Maybe taking because I think edge and defensive tackle are going to be common positions that Bears fans are wondering, who could the Bears target? After free agency, we'll see what Ryan Poles and the team, who they add, if anybody, to that position. But maybe going through the top defensive tackles. We don't have to go all the way down into the UDFAs, but the top defensive tackles, top edges, and you kind of just saying okay, I would be okay trading up and giving up this much to go get David Bailey or Reuben Bain, and this is where I would draft them. And obviously if the Bears say Mesidor, he's available back in first round, he's yep, I would take him at 25. Really wouldn't whatever, or maybe second round, whatever the case may be, and just kind of valuing.
Tearing him out.
Yes, thank you. I couldn't think of the phrase, but.
Yeah, no, I like that idea for sure. I mean, I thought at times he actually was better than Bain, but again, he's older, so.
Yeah. I think, too, obviously Miami had a really incredible run to the national championship game, so that helps, but when you're playing alongside a very talented defensive line like Mesidor, like Reuben Bain and others, it kind of gets almost lost in the shuffle how good each individual player
Yeah.
is. So
Yeah, it's like pick your poison. Who are you going to double team?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they got 3 or 4 dudes. The Moton, I put him in my perfect offseason. He's going back to school, so he's off the board. But, yeah, Mesidor's the real deal, man. I'm a fan of his game. Adventure Dudes, just another question. Who do you think we'd trade DJ for? Well, I think it'd be one of two things. He would either be in a trade for a defensive player, like a Max Crosby, or you would just trade him for like a pick. Like, maybe you hope for a third, but you probably get like a 4th or 5th.
DJ trade scenarios, another video.
Could do that. Could be an option. Yeah, I mean, you're not going to like do some random 1-for-1 player swap, I don't think.
Would you guys watch a DJ Moore trade scenarios video? Why for yes and for no?
Half the comments would say you're a hater. The other half would be like, trade him for literally anything. Whereas, really, I'm neither of those guys. I'm not a hater, and I'm not willing to – I don't want to just get rid of him. I'm just looking at it from like a Bears roster management point of view. Chris Jones is washed and would retire if he's smart. He's still a good pass rusher, man. He is still a good pass rusher. He's not at his peak anymore, but he is still a good pass rusher.
We'll say, Harry. Get him on the S's. We'll keep that in mind.
The DJ drama is annoying at this point. People have asked you about it a million times. Here's the thing, though. Now we're to the offseason. So it is not going to go away.
No.
If anything,
it's going to pick up.
It's picking up. You know what? I'm going to change the poll.
Okay.
Would you trade DJ Moore? Yes, no. Because it seems pretty split. We could trade Loveland. There is 0 chance they trade Colston Loveland. I think after Caleb Williams and probably Darnell Wright, he's the most valuable player on your offense. Like from like a what could you get standpoint. Would you agree with that?
Say that one more time.
In terms of like value charting like your players and what they could fetch you in a trade on offense. I think Caleb's the most valuable. Darnell Wright's second. I think Loveland's third.
Yeah.
Who's more valuable?
No, I would agree. Because I think Rome, there's questions. I think he
coming off an injury.
Had some drop issues.
Colston's still only 21.
Yeah.
He turns 22 this spring.
Like, neither of your running backs have much trade value. Joe Tooney's an older offensive lineman.
Yeah, I mean, Tooney went for a 4 last year. And, like, again, this isn't necessarily, like, best play. I'm talking, like if you put them up to be available in a trade, who would fetch you the most? I think it's Caleb 1, Darnell 2, Loveland 3.
Yeah. I would agree. Because I'm trying to even think. There really isn't a second. Like, unless, and this would be projecting, the only 2 other players that could even attempt to jump into that conversation next year, and this would, I'm going to say one of them is really kind of unlikely just due to his circumstances, and one of them that could potentially happen, but I don't think it will. Luther Burden, if he becomes the clear wide receiver 1, he's explosive and everything. You know, he outproduces Colston Loveland. Like, maybe he jumps to that conversation.
I think Burden would go for a 1.
Right now, you think?
He went 39th overall, and the second half of the year felt, at times, he felt dominant. Like, I think if you were a team that needed a receiver and you were drafting in, like, the 20s of this draft, like, if you're the Bills, you wouldn't trade the 25th, 4th pick, 6th pick for Luther Burden. I'd rather do that than draft some random receiver. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, like, I think Loveland's more valuable because he went 10th and, if anything, exceeded expectations as a rookie.
Also provides a unique skill set of, being a pass-catching tight end that can really win on a lot of one-on-one situations.
Outside, in-line, slot. He's a good blocker. Like, he's complete, and he's 21 years old.
Yeah. And then the other one that I think is highly unlikely, but I think down the line, if he really turns into the player that he could be potentially, / the trajectory he was heading on, but unfortunately he's going to be coming off an injury, Ozzie Trapillo, who...
Yeah, the injury is just killer. But yeah, I mean, if he becomes a good left tackle... And
that would be the only
Poles kind of just nonchalantly was like, he's going to be... The rehab's going to go late into next year. I don't think we see him for a while.
It's a possibility.
I think October is the earliest, based on that comment.
Yeah, it wouldn't shock me if he misses the first month of the year. And look, if we get more clarity on that, I think if your Poles, your Ben Johnson, and everything, you're gonna bring Theo Benedict back. I think you could probably almost put that in Sharpie at this point. That he's gonna be back on the roster just because of the familiarity, the fact that he started games for you. And look, I mean, depending on how bad Ozzie Tribillo's injury is, you might have to look at. I mean, Garon Amagaji, unless he has a miraculous turnaround, he's not going to contribute.
I mean, he's fighting
Braxton's
for a
gone.
roster spot at best. I'll say this, and I'll put this more in the rumor category because this is very preliminary. The Bears probably haven't even done their full okay, this is where the roster sits heading into the offseason. That'll come. I did hear a rumor. I'll call it a rumor that they could roll with Tooney at left tackle next year until Ozzie's back. And if he doesn't come back, just roll with Tooney. Because they like Jordan McFadden, who I think they're going to bring back, and they like Luke Newman. And if they don't want to pay for a left tackle, because even bridge starting left tackles probably are going to cost you $10 million, they might just do that. Now, is that the way to go? I don't know, but I did hear that is at least in the realm of possibility.
It's something they should consider for sure. However, I think their best course of action would be to draft a potential swing tackle option. Obviously, you have other needs on the roster, so it wouldn't be a high-level need, but I think, listen, Ozzie you got as a second. He's not going to play. You're going to hope that he comes back at some point next season, but there is a chance that, an outside chance.
Could miss the whole year.
He could. So.
And what is he when he gets back?
Exactly.
Is he the same guy? Is he ready? I think there's a lot of questions there. If you told me right now he's back Halloween and he's even close to what he was showing, I think I would sign up for it. So, and the biggest killer of all is even if he does get back and is fully healthy, it's just to not have this offseason, to continue to build that NFL strength, work on your craft plan on the left side. Just a killer, man. It really is.
Yeah. No, it really is. And we'll see, obviously, what it looks like as we get closer to training camp and whatnot. But, I mean, there's a world where, to your point, to kick Tooney out to left tackle, start him week 1, and potentially further.
And Newman compete at left guard.
Yeah. I mean,
I could see it. And if they do that, I think it's them telling you, A, the options weren't great, or B, from a spending money standpoint, they don't want to give a left tackle $10, $12 million when it's not a long-term thing. So, or the draft just didn't work out in that regard.
Free agent left tackles and offensive guards. Maybe that's a budget. Who's somebody that, again, fringe starter is not going to cost you a lot. Obviously, and again, this isn't even the position that we're talking about here. Tyler Linderbaum's clearly somebody that if he played left guard or, left tackle or somebody out of the Bears price range, they've spent their amount that they're going to spend at that level on the offensive line. But what's somebody that could potentially, again, you could maybe sign as a left tackle, left guard, depending on what you want to do with Tooney?
Does Ben Johnson call his old buddy Kevin Zeitler, ask him to play one more year? How much is he willing to play for?
It's a question.
Very interesting. Francisco, Brady dropped his video of top passes this season. Caleb's overtime winner against Packers got top spot. Thoughts on Caleb getting more recognition around the league, particularly from these Tom Brady types? Yeah, I think people are definitely coming around. I mean, the talent speaks for itself. He rose to the occasion on numerous occasions this year. He's a big-time talent who is very good in clutch situations. So if he just tightens the screws throughout on some of the little things at playing the position, the fundamentals, and just becomes a more consistent player, which I think he will, then he could be one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I don't think that's in question at all that he can get there. I think he enters next year firmly as I'll do our rankings at some point. Firmly a top half of the league starter, potentially like fringe top 10. So I'll take a deeper dive. But, yeah, I mean, I feel good about his trajectory. I think if you ask me right now, is he more likely to get an extension after year 3 or not? I'd say he more likely is likely to get that if he takes another jump. So
I'll say this too. He obviously can still improve. He talked about it, his, accuracy, his footwork and all that. Just his overall consistency can be better. And I think, Harry, you would agree. To me, though, his rookie year under Shane Waldron, Matt Eberflus, there wasn't a lot of explosive moments in terms of obviously the Bears weren't winning games in 2024, but him not being consistent, but being able to in the fourth quarter really rise up, but also to have timely explosive plays. That's something that you're obviously Bears fans, you, me, when we're watching Bears games every week, we see the play-to-play, ups and downs of a quarterback and everything. But for somebody who may not be attention, I'm not saying Brady doesn't. Brady's obviously a student of the game or whatever. Caleb's ability to kind of make those throws and show the potential that if he puts it all together, right? He was more or less showcasing, I think, his skills just in terms of a national audience base because he had so many big moments this year that I think more people are okay, listen, this kid could be something and that he could build upon something. So, I don't know if he would have if the Bears didn't have so many crazy say Caleb took a step forward but wasn't as explosive, and maybe he took a step forward in terms of completion percentage but didn't have the big plays of DJ Moore or some of the big clutch throws that he had all season. I'm not sure he's getting as much love from the national media's perspective as if he were based on some of the moments he had this year.
Well, look, I mean, the national media zeroes in on big markets, polarizing players, big games. The Bears were in a lot of big games, a lot of close games, and their quarterback was clutch in a lot of those games. So, and everyone saw that. So even if some of the inconsistencies were there, which they clearly were, if you are consistently making big plays in the big moments, people are going to come around. Certain guys might feel differently overall about a player, but when you play your best when it matters most, that's going to be discussed. And
sure.
I think we saw that this year. But I think Poles also put it well the other day as the whole cardiac Bears thing, I think another step for us is don't have to go into cardiac Bears mode all the time. And that's where not just with Caleb, but the whole team just being more consistent throughout the course of the game. And the Bears led the NFL in dropped yardage this year. If you cut that down by a third, are you still playing? Are you the 1 seed? Are you who knows? There's there's a lot of things that a lot of these guys, if they just get a little better at, just like they got better this year. This offense, you're basically bringing everybody back except for you don't know what the left tackle situation is, and you might pivot off DJ Moore. They're all back, full offseason in the same system. In training camp, all we heard was about how much issues they had with the pre-snap operation, Ben Johnson yanking the starters off the field. But it took a while just to get up to speed with what Ben wanted them to do. All that stuff, when you get back in OTAs, it might take a day or two to kind of get back going again. But you're going to be able to skip a lot of those growing pains because they've all been in the offense. So if they just get better, which they'll be able to just skip kind of the training wheels are off now to start training camp next year. The sky's the limit, but it's up to them to improve and to execute these plays and all that stuff. So, I don't think there's a limit to how good Caleb and this offense can be moving forward. Shy Sanders, these fans don't know anything. Remember, they wanted to trade Caleb Williams after his rookie year, LOL, SMH. Look, fans are going to fan how they want. We can all agree, disagree at times. That's what makes it fun. But, I think back to that PFF graphic that dropped heading into training camp this year of all 6 of the second-year quarterbacks, and only Caleb's floor was listed as bust. It's like, this is like the attacks on this guy were unreal. From local media to local fans to national media to national fans. It was unlike anything I've ever seen. J.J. McCarthy, who didn't play a single snap, didn't have a floor of a bust by that PFF guy, and I forget the guy's name. It is the craziest thing I've ever seen. So it's going to be interesting to see what the talking points are heading into next year.
Yeah, and I think that, look, he had his rookie year. There's a lot of things that went wrong, obviously, and when you're a rookie quarterback in the NFL and you don't have the proper infrastructure around you, you're going to have some maybe bad habits formed, maybe some habits that need to be corrected, not be corrected, and maybe have some good habits that you maybe don't always, tone and the best to, because no matter how talented or how gifted you are as a prospect, like, coaching matters in this league. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're Brady or Mahomes, Allen, whoever the case may be. Caleb, this year, when Ben Johnson took the job, he talked about really having to kind of start things from scratch and building Caleb back up, and that it wasn't going to be an easy process. To your point, right? The pre-snap, everything, the elevation. Caleb really kind of sitting there and understand the offense. I mean, there's wide receivers, Luther Burden, right? He wasn't getting acclimated to the offense. It was reported because he just wasn't getting caught up into the certain calls in the offense. So everyone was kind of playing catch up in this first year under Ben Johnson, and Caleb obviously being the quarterback, he's going to have a lot of that. Hey, this is your second year. Well, in reality, it was his first year.
You know what Caleb Williams did this year, and what Ben Johnson taught him, which is more important, to play quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah,
the pre-snap operation, he had to do a lot and learn a lot. By the end of the year, the cadence was becoming a weapon for the Bears. Getting under center, the amount of deep under center play action shot plays, that's what the good modern NFL offenses do. Caleb had never done that in his life. I got to call you out, Skeet. Still thinking keeping Justin Fields and trade the number one pick for a Brinks truck would have been better. Well, everyone who wanted to do that wanted Marvin Harrison Jr. as the headline in that trade. Marvin Harrison Jr. right now would be the Bears' fourth best receiver. I'd take Luther over him. I'd still probably take DJ Moore over him. Maybe that's interchangeable. Different players. They're completely different.
Yeah.
Rome, I mean, if we can say what about Rome? If Rome played all 17 games and was healthy, he would have been over 1,000 yards this year, even with the drop issues. I just don't see, and I still think Marv's going to be good, but I don't know how. And you said low completion percentage. Justin Fields is not an accurate quarterback. How is anyone still think that keeping Justin Fields would have been the way to go?
I would assume it's mainly a troll, but
he's had 10 comments. I don't think it is. He said Caleb threw up a couple of prayers and got lucky. Yeah, of course there was some element of luck in the one against the Rams. But do you know what the degree of difficulty on that throw? To sprint back, throw a fadeaway 51-yard ball in the air, according to Next Gen Stats, with the proper arc and velocity, just to even get it to a spot where you had a chance. Obviously, there's some element of luck when it's a jump ball from 50 yards out. But, hardly any quarterback in the league is even capable of making that throw. And the throw against Green Bay in the regular season to DJ Moore, that's not a luck throw. It's a play-action shot where he slides left to avoid the pressure, and he throws a 57-yard frozen rope in stride to DJ Moore for a touchdown. That's not a prayer. that's one of the best throws in the league this year.
It's also because he mentioned that Justin Fields has a better deep ball.
That's the most old and tired narrative. That's not true at all.
It's just not true. I don't know if that, Ohio State clip to Olave is still going around. It just isn't true. It just isn't. You cannot run a basic NFL offense with Justin Fields as your quarterback.
How many times does Justin Fields have to get benched, and by how many teams, before we just acknowledge he's not a starting quarterback in the NFL? I love the guy. He stands for all the right stuff. He's not a good player. He's just not. I felt like I gave him more time than most, and yet 3 years later, it's still here.
Yeah, that's another point. Justin Fields got benched for Brady Cook.
I mean,
in Tyrod Taylor too, but like still, the fact that Fields
they didn't even consider going back to him is like
it was a pseudo like, hey, we're not going to put you back in.
They're going to cut him, and they're going to take like a $22 million dead cap hit. Like they don't want him, and if they keep him, he's not going to start.
There are some people that listen. They're going to be fans of Justin Fields. You have every right to be.
And by the way, this last comment, the only thing Justin Fields is better at is running speed. I would probably say yes, but like we found out this year, Cullen, Caleb Williams is fucking fast. He had 5 runs this year of over 20 miles per hour, and he's a much better like behind the line of scrimmage mover than Justin has no pocket feel.
Justin's also a straight line runner where Caleb's able to move and be more fluid as a runner.
He's a I mean his sack avoidance is much. Yeah, it's ridiculous, man. JF1 ski, dude, you're embarrassing yourself.
That's what I'm saying.
Did better than with the Jets than Aaron Rodgers. First of all, that's not even true. Go look at Rodgers' stats last year. And second of all, who cares? It's the Jets fucking stink. You're comparing like they were bad regardless.
I think it's just trolling. Man.
This has got to be a rage
bait or whatever.
It's got to be. There's just no way. No way. Okay. Nick, is it cap space or draft capital that people are more fixated on with DJ? Don't feel like juice is worth the squeeze. It's the cap. Which is why, again, if maybe they don't get good offers, then maybe you just restructure. I'd be fine with that. I'm not fully against DJ Moore getting off this team. Like, if they want to restructure and run it back and clear the cap that way, that's fine. I think that's the big reason, though, because of the other players you have. I want Luther Burden to be a full-time starter. Healthy Rome, like, look, we need to get him back to the trajectory he was on, right? Like, he was a top 10 pick. Like, he needs to have a big role. Loveland, he might be the focal point of the offense. Like, DJ Moore at $28 million being a part of an offense doesn't make sense. You want to restructure, save $16 million that way? Okay. And revisit the trade next year? That's fine. I'm not trading because I think I can get a first or second round pick. Like, sure, like I'll take the middle round pick with the cap reduction, but that's why you would do it, because you have other weapons that can take on larger roles and you can clear some money. That you're not doing it because you're hunting a big draft pick. Like, this wouldn't be the Raiders shopping Max Crosby for a haul. Like, different situation. Okay, Michael, what ceiling could you see Monungai having?
Similar to what he has now, to be honest.
Yeah, like, I don't know, like, you know, you can always improve as a player, but, like, I think, like, you know, low to mid starter, excellent number 2, which is kind of what he is now. He showed in that Bengals game if he needs to be the primary runner, he can handle that. He's an excellent change of pace back. I thought he improved as the season went on as a pass catcher.
Pass protector, too. Yeah,
as pass protector, too. I think those took a little while to come along.
Yeah.
I like the Bears pairing. I think you just run that back next year. If you want to draft it back on day 3 to kind of groom, because, you know, Swift after next year, is he back after 2026? Probably not, unless it's team friendly, but I thought he did enough this year where you bring back Swift.
Schultze, just to double down on this, it does sound like the Raiders made a very strong push to get Jesse Minter over the last 24 hours, and the Ravens recognize that. That's how the timeline sped up today. Wow. Just more on the Minter news, who is becoming the Baltimore Ravens head coach.
Someone told me the Raiders had the best job.
I also heard that. Crazy. But no, in terms of Monungai, I think, listen, you know,
he's better than Khalil Herbert, Jimmy.
Yeah, he is. And he doesn't have the greatest athletic profile. Like, he's not a burner. He's not a physically imposing in terms of, like, you know, like a Saquon Barkley, like just a super jacked or something like that. But he's still talented. Still got really good vision. I think he runs hard.
Great pad level.
Low center of gravity. Obviously improved as a pass catcher, improved as a pass protector. And that's somebody that, if you're in any running back room, you have all those things, you have value in this league. And I think the pairing with Swift, the fact that Swift has that home run ability, that explosiveness, the elusivity, creates a really nice 1-2 punch for Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, I think like the improvements for him, I would just say continue to focus on like the pass game part of your skill set. Like, not much is going to change with him as a runner. He's a one-cut back, play with pad level and physicality. Maybe, the timing, patience, vision of things. Those are just kind of innate feel parts of the game. But, like, keep continuing as a pass catcher. Keep working on pass pro. Like, keep adding that part of to his game. And, I think I'm not dissing Herbert, but Herbert was horrible in pass pro. He wasn't a good pass catcher. Good runner, but Monungai's a more complete back. Alex Ammerling, off topic, but you see that every coach is saying no to Cleveland. LOL, must be nice to be a Bears fan right now. Yeah, if I'm Cleveland, I would just take a chance on one of the young offensive guys. Shieldhouse, Udinski. Offer Jim Schwartz a ton of money to stay on as DC, but make him the highest paid DC. Give him $6 million. Because you're not going to have to pay Shieldhouse or Udinski like $12 million a year. You can probably get them for 7 or 8. So, they're in a bad way. I mean, the Watson contract's a disaster. They do have 2 first-round picks, but like, who's the quarterback next year? You just rolling with Shedeur?
You're telling me the Cleveland Browns are on the wrong side of a potential franchise-altering decision?
Never seen that ever.
Never. It's one of those things where, like, I mean, we obviously talk about it a bunch here. When you're sitting there and you're discussing amongst yourself, hey, should we fire somebody or should we let this guy go? And you're thinking, all right, if this person were to let go, how many people would be interested in him? Get that kind of range and everything. Kevin Stefanski, after John Harbaugh, obviously, because he was clearly number 1. And Mike Tomlin, whenever people didn't know if he would coach in 2026 or not. Stefanski became the clear and obvious, hey, we need to get this. Someone needs to hire this guy. Ultimately, Atlanta decided to go pick him up. And if you're Cleveland, like, you should take a chance on Udinski or Shieldhouse just to kind of see what the upside could be if you bring back a Jim Schwartz. But I don't think Cleveland realizes how good they had it with Stefanski.
Yeah, and look, like, if they want to pivot off Stefanski, that's fine. But number 1, you should probably pivot off Barry too, if you're going to do that.
Fair.
And number 2, the proof's in the pudding. The Giants would have hired him if John Harbaugh didn't become available. The Falcons didn't let him leave the building because he was going to Nashville the next day. They would have offered him the job in all likelihood. And it's possible, if not probable, 2 or 3 of these other jobs would have offered.
Mm-hmm.
Like Arizona, you're telling me Arizona wouldn't have hired Kevin Stefanski? Who the hell are they going to get? So, I mean, I think that moving on from him is fine, but the proof's kind of in the pudding that, like, your problems aren't solely Kevin Stefanski, if really at all Kevin Stefanski. The league has shown how they feel about him. So, all right, we got 2 more segments to go here, including Mock Draft 1.0. It's coming up next. All right, folks, it is finally here. My first Chicago Bears 2026 Mock Draft 1.0. I go through all 7 rounds here on today's mock. Now, if we're being technical and literal on the channel, you would find 2 other 2026 mock drafts. In May of 2025, after the 2025 NFL Draft, I do this every year, a way too early mock draft. So we did that. And in October during the bye week, I did do a 7-round mock draft. But since we know the Bears draft selection 25th overall, and now that the season is over, we're calling this mock draft 1.0, and the next one will be 2 and 3 and so on and so forth. So this is the first mock of the year. And with it being the first one, no trades. No trades on today's Bears mock draft. I know that might upset some people, but there will be trades in the future. And I'll make a deal for you guys. If you want the next mock draft we do to have at least 1 trade in it, hit the like button. If we get 1,500 likes on today's mock draft episode, we will do trades on the next Bears mock draft. Okay, let's dive into it. Akheem Mesidor is my selection for the Chicago Bears in the first round, number 25 overall. It's going to take a while for me to get used to the Bears picking this late in the first round, but that's where we're at. Mesidor had an awesome season for Miami. 12.5 sacks, 17.5 TFLs, part of that awesome defensive line that got all the way to the national championship game. I thought at times he was actually the more dominant player than Ruben Bain, but he is older, which we'll talk about here in a second. Look how he graded out per PFF. Over 92 overall and pass rush. He's really good against the run as well. His pass rush win rate is almost 21%, which means 1 out of every 5 pass rush snaps, he's winning that rep, or he's generating a pressure. And then run stop rate of almost 5%. That's a high number as well. Now, the big downside here is he turns 25 in April, and a couple of years ago, he had a foot injury that cut his season short, which is why he got an extra year here. He got a medical red shirt from that season, 6-year college player. So, look, if you're drafting a guy who's going to be 25, he's got to be able to contribute right away, right? You know, the Bears tried that with Velus Jones, much less talented and way less skins on the wall. Also, F. Velus, we all know why. Mesidor is more proven, clearly, at a more premium position. But if you miss, it's kind of brutal because he's already 25 years old. But I think this is a plug-and-play type of player. I think if you just stacked up all the pass rushers in this draft, like, hey, who's going to contribute the most right away? I think Mesidor would be at or near the top of that list. And, you know, if you don't make a big splash for a Max Crosby or, you know, maybe you don't land a Trey Hendrickson or something like that, you draft Mesidor. He competes with Austin Booker to start opposite of Montez Sweat, and the other guy's your number 3. That's an improvement over what you currently have. I think he would contribute immediately. Whether or not it's as a starter, I don't know. He's also about 275, 280. I think he can kick inside some in the NFL, especially on pass down. So I like the versatility there for Mesidor. So I'm a big fan of his game. If he was 21, I think he'd be a top 5, top 7 pick. But he's 24, going to be 25 in April. You know, that's almost a full extra contract you're losing out on. So you need him to be good right away. And by year 2, you need him to be very good. So, you know, if you're concerned about that, then obviously you have to weigh that in terms of deciding whether or not to draft him. Who is your dream target in round 1? It can be a guy to trade up for. It can be a guy to trade down for. It can be a guy that you think is going to be there at 25 overall. I think Mesidor is a good option. I'd like it even more if you could trade down either later in round 1, 28, 29, 30, or early round 2, maybe get an extra pick and then take him. I think he'll go as early as like 20 and as low as 40 given his age. Okay, round 2, pick number 57, Dylan Thieneman. This is a fun player. You guys should be familiar. He's a Purdue transfer, went to Oregon this year, had a very good season for the Ducks, was a tackling machine, but he's always around the football. That's what I like about this kid. 5 breakups, couple interceptions. His rookie year in the Big Ten at Purdue had 6 interceptions back in 2023, which I really like as well. Remember, the safety position for the Bears, top 4 are all free agents. Kevin Byard, Jaquan Brisker, Elijah Hicks, Jonathan Owens. If you want to count C.J. Gardner-Johnson, all of those guys are free agents. And the Bears want Kevin Byard back, but even if you bring him back, you still need another starter. It's going to be hard to re-sign Byard and Brisker. So I kind of like the idea, okay, let's get Byard back on a 1 or a 2-year deal, draft a guy like Thieneman or someone else day 2, second, third round. There's your starting safety tandem. You know, you can't fill every hole in free agency or on the trade market. You need a couple of these draft picks to start, and I think Thieneman could start right away. All right, round 3, pick number 89 overall, Jacob Rodriguez. I think mid-third round, early mid-4th round is going to be the range for the Texas Tech linebacker who just filled up the stat sheet, right? I mean, you look at his last 2 years, 255 tackles, 21.5 TFLs, 5 picks, 6 sacks, 10 breakups, 10 forced fumbles, including 7 this year. He was also, I think, 4th or 5th in the Heisman race this year. He was unbelievable for Texas Tech. He has incredible instincts, reads quarterbacks well, always around the football. The testing will be big. I think if he could just be, can he test middle average? Like if he's in the 4.6 range, in the 40, if his agility skills are at least, in the 60, 70th percentile, I'd be happy with that. That will be big because I do think the Bears want to add more speed to this defense, and I don't think he's going to be a burner. But if he's at least middle of the pack with his instincts, I think he can be a really good player and potentially a starter right away. And let's face it, this linebacker position is a complete unknown. TJ Edwards enters the offseason with the serious injury recovery. Tremaine Edmonds is a cut candidate. So I think DeMarco Jackson will be back. He's actually a free agent as well. Should be an asterisk next to him. That's on me. But you're probably going to have to add at least one external linebacker, whether it's in free agency or the draft. And a guy like Jacob Rodriguez in the 3rd or 4th round could make a lot of sense. All right, today's show is sponsored by Prize Picks. The big game is almost here, and there's no better way to cash in during America's biggest sporting event than on Prize Picks, where it always feels good to be right. And since the big game is around the corner, that also means it's your last chance to get into the football action next season or before next season. So close the season outright with Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when playing your first $5. Find your community on Prize Picks. With the new social feeds feature, you can share Prize Picks with your friends and copy lineups from winners with a single click. You can also copy lineups you like or use them as inspiration for your own picks. You can follow Prize Picks partners like myself. Search me at HGramNFL and tail or fade my picks with just one click of a button in the app. 2-player lineup for this weekend. Stafford, give me the more on his pass attempts. I'll also take more on Sam Darnold's rushing yards at 7.5. I think he'll have a couple timely scrambles in this game. $20 lineup to win $60 on this 2-player lineup. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use our code CLNS to get $50 in lineups. After you play your first $5 lineup, that is code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it is good to be right. Okay, Jude Bowery, Boston College offensive tackle. Does that sound familiar? Yes. Before you ask, he was collegiate teammates with Ozzie Trapillo. Graded out solid. I don't think he's a great talent, but again, it's 4th round, right? You know, you take a lineman in this range, you're probably looking at a swing tackle type in the NFL, and that's kind of the ideal type of player you're looking for here. 2-year starter at left tackle, which is a position that's up in the air right now. I think Ozzie Trapillo is your long-term answer if he can recover from injury, but it sounds like there's basically no chance of him being back for week 1. And Ryan Poles said his rehab will probably go late into next year. We're talking about like next season. So I don't know, October, November, later. You're probably going to have to add a tackle somewhere. So if you can get someone in like the 4th round to compete, to at least be an option over there, Theo Benedict could be in the mix. They might play Joe Thuney at left tackle, but you got to give yourself options if you are the Chicago Bears. All right, Xavier Harris, the defensive tackle out of Ole Miss. This guy's a behemoth. 6'8", over 300 pounds is what he's listed at. I'll be curious to see what he measures in and weighs in at the NFL Combine. You know, pad level can be tough when you're that big. A guy like Deion Walker, who actually played fairly well for the Bills this year, that's probably a comp he's going to get. He's not as big as Walker, who was like 340. I don't think he's that big, but he certainly has the height of a Deion Walker. Pretty productive for the Rebels. You see the breakups there. He's going to be able to get his hands on a lot of footballs just given his height and length. So 5th round, add a guy that you can put into the rotation on your defensive line. Certainly would not be against that. Subscribe to the channel if you want more Bears offseason coverage, news, rumors, draft content, free agency as well. We go live every Monday and Thursday. Take your questions too, so lock us in throughout the offseason. Okay, another Rebel, Harrison Wallace in the 7th round. Now, just to be clear, these mock draft machines, it's still pretty early in the process. You get, late day 3 all over the map. As far as I know, Harrison Wallace could go 4th or 5th round. I mean, he was pretty damn productive this year. Cullen and I did a couple of watch parties on 4 verts with Ole Miss, and he looked like a really good player. So 7th round feels like a steal. You see the production there, almost 1,000 yards and 4 touchdowns. But I do think the Bears could add a receiver on day 3 of the draft, especially if they do pivot off of DJ Moore, which is certainly a possibility this offseason. All right, Carson Ryan, I go tight end with my second 7th round pick. Remember, no 6th round pick because they did a pick swap for Joe Tryon-Shoyinka with the Browns. So 2 7th round picks at this point in time. Not only was Ryan productive for the Cougars as a receiving tight end, he's also one of the highest graded blocking tight ends per Pro Football Focus among draft-eligible tight ends. Earned a 75.3 run block grade. Historically, BYU really values that in their tight end. So, is Durham Smythe back next year? I would certainly like him back. But if not, or even if he is, if we want to bring in a 4th guy to compete for a roster spot, probably would be someone who needs to be able to block. Carson Ryan was able to do that at the collegiate level very, very well. So there you have it. Bears mock draft 1.0. No trades. Akheem Mesidor is my first-round pick out of Miami, the edge. My day 2 picks, Dylan Thieneman, the Oregon safety, and Texas Tech linebacker Jacob Rodriguez. Round 4, Jude Bowery, former collegiate teammate of Ozzie Trapillo, 2-year starter at left tackle, which is a position that's in flux right now, given Trapillo's injury. And then rounds 5 through 7, Xavier Harris, the defensive tackle out of Ole Miss in the 5th. Harrison Wallace, the Ole Miss receiver in the 7th. And then BYU tight end Carson Ryan wraps things up at pick number 241. Grade my first mock draft, A, B, C, D, or F. How do you feel about it? What would you do differently? Drop a grade and leave a comment down in the comment section below. My name is Harrison Graham. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Again, subscribe, but also like that video, like this video. 1,500 likes means we'll do at least one trade on our next mock draft. All right, 1.0 in the books. Mason, Mesidor's production is awesome, just sucks that he's 24. Yeah, I do think in a draft like this, though, Cullen, where doesn't seem like there's a lot of that star power again, like, you know, maybe in a better draft, he's more of like a top 50 pick, but in a draft like this, I think you could justify taking him in the first round, especially if you're a win-now team. Like, if I was a young team that's a couple years away, I would not draft him in the first round. But if you're trying to win next year and you need pass rush help, like the Bears, I think he makes sense.
Yeah, I think he does. Seen a lot of B's in the chat in terms of grading the mock draft, and I think that's kind of par for the course for the first one. I will say this. Favorite draft pick of yours, at least from my perspective, was a guy that I also had on my Jags video the other day, Dylan Thieneman.
He's a fun player.
He's really good. I think he's a guy that you could match him up in terms of versatility, which we know Dennis Allen loves in his defensive backs. You can line him out as the single high safety. You can line him up in like the nickel spot. He's great at tracking the seams along, up the seam versus tight ends or wide receivers. You can also play him down in the box. He, to me, the only kind of like real weakness isn't really a weakness with him is that he sometimes can be too aggressive. Like he can like rely on his instincts and everything. But like it's almost kind of like the I'd rather my defensive back be told to rein it in versus having to try to get it out of him. So
he feels like a Dennis Allen DB, a guy who can wear a lot of different hats.
Yeah.
Need to play near the line of scrimmage, he can do that. He's willing to mix it up in the run game. Need to play center field, he can do that. Need to play man coverage against tight ends and slots, he can do that as well. I think he's really good. I think you get him and re-sign Byard, I think you're feeling pretty good about that safety position next year. And it kind of hedges you a little bit for Kyler Gordon as well. If he misses time, he could play nickel, and you could plug in your number 3 safety at safety if you needed to, or maybe C.J. Gardner-Johnson's back as well in that role. So I think it gives you options if you are Dennis Allen, if you were to get a player like that.
Let us know down below. Out of all of Harry's picks, which one was your favorite?
Favorite, least favorite.
That too. Or if you don't like any of the picks. No.
Yeah, if you think I suck, just say you suck.
Got an A, got
Travis
C.
says, I miss watch parties, 10K we're watching. I know, man. It was electric. Most fun year of my life doing this. Not even close.
A lot of fun.
The best moments compilation video there's a lot of them. There's going to be a lot of them.
You've, safe to say, earned some good karma heading your way in terms of like just having good moments and everything.
Hopefully that's the case.
I'd say so.
I got the good moments, whether or not I earned them. That's up to other people to decide.
I'm seeing Wallace, Thieneman, Rodriguez, seeing some more grades come in, B minus, A.
How do you feel about Rodriguez? Where do you think he's worthy of going in this draft?
Testing is big, as you mentioned. I think he's a very productive collegiate player. The question is that there's a lot of those guys that like you get into certain systems that are able to be productive like that. Mm-hmm. Can they translate to an NFL style of, hey, listen, there's going to be the best of the best athletes. Can you match up? Are you able to maybe overcome your lack of athleticism with understanding angles, pursuits, diagnosing plays?
Especially where nickel is the base now, like how much ground can you cover? Because that's what he's going to be asked to do. His coverage grade is very high, but it's just a different game in the NFL, man. There's so much speed.
Yeah.
So
I think right now, without having done too much research, I think 3rd, 4th round's like completely fair in terms of his value. Yeah. I don't think I would take him in the 2nd. That being said, like there was a lot of talent in that Texas Tech front seven. He was obviously a big part of that. If nothing else, like, he's a smart football player who was productive, to your point.
Yeah,
like,
I do think, like, whether or not he's a consistent primary starter in a nickel base long term, I think that remains to be seen. I do think he could be like your textbook number 3 linebacker that could play all positions, like in a pinch. He's a very smart player.
Yes.
So, like, he feels like a guy that'll play 8 to 10 years, even if he's never like a dominant player or anything, just because, like, he's going to play in multiple schemes. He's very smart. So I think he'll stick around for a while. It's just the question is, how high is the ceiling there?
Yeah. I think also, too, it's like, that is all very true in terms of what you just said. But if you're really trying to add speed to this defense, I don't know if he's your best option. Now, again,
what if you put him next to DeMarco Jackson and then TJ's your other guy? What if next year it's TJ and DeMarco, you cut Tremaine, DeMarco's your speed, can cover a lot of ground guy, TJ's the veteran who's communicating everything, all that stuff, and then Rodriguez is your third backer, and then if you feel good about him beyond that,
yeah,
he's a starter in 27. But
yeah. I mean, let me ask you this.
I think DeMarco Jackson is coming back because he's got good speed and he's not going to cost a lot of money. So you got to get him back.
I would agree. There's a I'm not trying to promote my whole video here, but the linebacker that I had in the Jags video, Jake Golday, the linebacker out of Cincinnati, he to me is kind of like almost somewhat inverse to Rodriguez in terms of he's very athletically gifted, can cover a lot of ground. Not necessarily the most technical player, and can get lost in terms of like zone coverage, looking into the backfield and everything. But if you have the right coaching, his potential could lead him to be one of those premier changing linebackers. Again, a day 2 guy similar to Rodriguez. If you had the option, like you're Ryan Poles, and you have a linebacker. It doesn't have to be Golday, but you have a linebacker that's physically gifted. That you need to kind of fine tune him a little bit, but he's got some talent. Like, he can translate. Versus a guy that, you trust him in order to run your defense, have the calls right, but just athletically, he may not be up to snuff at times with some of the elite. Which one would you rather have on your defense?
In general, I'd value the guy who understands the game better. I don't know if the Bears are going that direction. Now, how scarred are they from Ruben Hippolyte? Now, Hippolyte didn't have like a day 2 grade or anything, but they kind of tried to force the issue there. Like, this guy's an athletic freak. We'll coach him up. And maybe that still happens. But linebackers were in and out of the lineup all year, and he was a healthy scratch the majority of the season. So, I think there's got to be some level of hey, we think this guy can pick up our defense and understand calls and checks and all that stuff. Yeah, I mean, I think we have to give it at least another offseason and into next year, DC Viper. But yeah, I mean, through 1 year, Hippolyte is a 4th-round pick. The most shocking part was that they didn't even think he could contribute on special teams. I mean, with that athletic profile. So, like, they just didn't trust him, clearly.
Shout out to Sam Brown. That was one of the premier moments of the draft, in my opinion, for us. I feel like we do a really damn good job of covering the draft here at Chat Sports. We obviously put a lot of time and effort into it. Sam, immediately when the draft pick was made, runs to our studio, and I'm sitting there, I'm trying to, like, behind the scenes get graphics set up to, like, get into talking about Ruben Hippolyte. Sam walks in and goes, shout out to Ryan Poles for picking the first player that we don't have listed in our database. We had no graphics.
I had never heard of
Hippolyte.
I didn't even know who he was.
And so, to your point, they took a risk. They obviously liked his athletic profile, wasn't viewed, and it's a day 3 pick, so it wasn't like a high-ish.
It's not the end of the world if he doesn't work out, especially with all the other guys they've hit on, but not great.
Yeah. So
I just thought with that, and I think they probably thought this. I think they thought worst case he could play on special teams.
For sure.
So that part of it was pretty alarming, that he was inactive and not even playing on that unit. So I did not see that part of it coming.
Very true. Skeet Skeet says, what do y'all grade Poles' draft so far? I mean, you'd have to go through each one, but I'd say last year's draft, I mean, that's one of the better drafts anyone had last year.
Yeah, I mean, I still think, like how much credit do you get when you have the number 1 pick? I mean, like, the Caleb pick is still good, even if May ends up being better. It's still, still good. You get, I still think Rome's going to work out. Like, we saw early on this year, he looked like a dominant force. Now, he's got to get back to doing the basics. In some ways, he's kind of like Caleb Cullen, where, like, he almost is better at, like, the acrobat. Like, remember in that same game against the Rams, he had to go up for a couple balls with his hands and squeeze those, but then, like, first play of the game, he drops a first down. So it's like, with him and Caleb, the next step is just, like, tighten the screws, because those two guys have so much talent that they can be the best in the world at what they do. I think the Darnell Wright pick itself, one of the best picks. I mean, he's about to get $100 million, so that's been a good pick. I'd have to think about that full draft. Let me see. Bears draft class. Let me see.
Barrett Allen says he gives last year an A. DC says B, B minus. The mid picks were bad, though. Listen, I mean,
when you hit on 4 picks, dude,
it's tough.
And we know already.
Yeah.
We already know you've hit.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes you hit on 4 picks, but 2 of them you don't know until year 2 or year 3. Colson Loveland, Luther Burden, Trapillo, you might have gotten screwed by this injury, but, like, that was turning into a hit. And Monungai were no doubt hits. Now, we can debate how good they're going to become, all that stuff. Those are hits, though. They were all basically starters by the end of the year. I mean, Monungai, 1-2 punch. I count that as at least a fringe starter. That's a good draft. Like, that's a good draft. The Darnell Wright draft, they took Javon Dexter and Tyreek Stevenson in the second round, which have been not bad picks, but not like, jury's definitely still out on if they would get extended. I'm still a Tyreek guy. I think he's a starter next year on this team. Dexter, I've kind of cooled on. Clearly, Zach Pickens didn't hit. Roshan, clearly not a hit. Now, concussions haven't helped there. Tyler Scott didn't work out. I thought Noah Sewell, when he played this year, Cullen did a decent job. Clearly, the Achilles, that sucks. I like Terrell Smith. It's like, him tearing his ACL in training camp this year was kind of an under-talked-about storyline with how much attrition they had at corner. He was like a part-time starter his first 2 years. So it's been a mixed bag, but I think this draft this year was pretty damn good. And look, their 4 hits are all offense. I'm not going to diminish Ryan Poles, but, like, clearly a lot of Ben Johnson influence there. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah, and look, I mean, you just kind of have to give him credit. No, I think Ryan Poles has earned the fact that, look, there are moves that he's made in the past that you can certainly knock him for, decisions that he's made. I think in general, this offseason, with the help of Ben Johnson, with that direction, maybe a little bit from Dennis Allen as well too, the Bears roster needed to improve in order to be competitive this season, and he turned out a competitive roster. Now, was it perfect? No. There's obviously still holes that the Bears have to fill in, but name a team that doesn't have a hole.
Yeah,
right?
like they have talent.
Yeah.
Now, where do they rank among NFL rosters? I don't know, but, like, if you told me just in a vacuum they have a top 10 roster, I wouldn't just dismiss it. If they hit on a couple of defensive players this offseason, if you told me right now they have the 15th best defense next year, like, you may have a top 3 to 5 offense next year. So
maybe
the team's in pretty good shape. I mean, they need to hit on some defensive picks. That side of the ball over the next 24 to 36 months, there will probably be kind of like an evolution. Like, if you told me 3 years from now, 2 years from now even, like, Montez Sweat, Jalen Johnson, like, some of these guys just kind of get phased out, I could buy that. But I think in the near term, they still are good players that can help you. So hitting on some young guys that are ready to take over when those guys are kind of beyond their prime, that's going to be the key. Eric, thoughts on Sonny Styles or C.J. Allen? I love Sonny Styles. If he was there at 25, I would not be against it. I doubt he falls to 25. C.J. Allen probably will be there at 25. I'd be fine with it. I think I took him for the Bears on a 4 Verts mock draft recently. I wouldn't love a non-Sonny Styles linebacker at 25, but I'd be okay with it under the right circumstances, depending on who's available. I think Styles goes top 15, though. I think he's going to go high.
I think he will as well. And listen, I mean, depending on where you value him, the thing with the Bears, and I just don't see a world where they don't go defense with their first pick.
They're going defense unless some left tackle they love is there at 25.
Exactly.
And I think that's the only position they would consider.
Yeah.
At 25, barring something unforeseen. Like, I don't know, would they take Jordan Tyson at 25 if he fell? Maybe. But
that'd be disgusting.
It would be a chaotic scenario for them to go offense in the first round, barring a stunner.
Right. So, to me, though, as great as Sonny Styles is, you do have to ask yourself, okay, how valuable is Sonny Styles compared to, like, an edge rusher that you do value similarly to him?
I think that depends on the board.
Or defensive tackle.
Who's on the board? Like, I don't know. I mean, if he tests really well, I think he's one of the best 15 players in this draft. So, like, you need defense, linebackers in that grouping. What if you've signed Trey Hendrickson in free agency? Like, if you tell me, hey, Sonny Styles or Romello Height, I'd be okay if they took Sonny Styles. I think it just depends on who's available and what you did in free agency, too. Now, if you haven't added to your defensive line, you're kind of pigeonholing yourself, which is why don't pigeonhole yourself. You always should remain flexible for when the draft comes around. Wasim. Bayless, Shamar. Okay, let's pump the brakes on Shamar. He was starting to come around a little bit, then he tore his ACL. I think the jury's still out there. But yeah, the third round in particular has been bad. Bayless, Pickens, and Karan are all misses. Dexter is not a bad player, but I'm with you as a second-round pick. He has not lived up to probably that. If you told me they took him when they took, like, Karan, for example, like if he was the 80th pick instead of the 53rd pick, I think that's an easier pill to swallow. But he's still a rotation player. He still has some pass rush juice. He's not bad. Like, there's a big gap. Like, to include him in the same sentence as Zach Pickens, who's an unplayable defensive tackle, like, there's a gap there. I don't consider that the same. Like, Karan Amagaji, can't stay healthy, and when he's played has been horrendous. Velus Jones, fumble/drop rate of when he got a chance to touch the ball has got to be one of the highest in NFL history. Shamar Turner, jury's still out. So, yeah, I hear you on Karan, Velus, and Pickens, but Dexter's been at least average, and Shamar Turner, it's been 1 year and he tore his ACL. So, we'll see. We'll see on that one. But, yeah, he's certainly had misses.
Right.
Claypool trade, just disastrous miss. Like, Brisker to me is kind of like the Dexter conversation. It's like, he's solid, but you just don't, just because you drafted him doesn't mean you should extend him, right? Like,
right.
You got to pick and choose. I would put Dexter in that same category. Like, if he's solid next year, it's like, let him test the market. If the market's not great, I'd be okay to bringing him back. Same with Brisker. If he tests the market, it's not there, and he wants to come back for $5-6 million, you can have a conversation. But some team might give him 3 for $30. I don't think the Bears should be that team. That's all.
We'll throw up Isaiah real quick, and then we're going to get into our final segment.
Yeah, final segment. We'll get out of here.
Of the day. Is it going to load? All right, give it 10 more seconds. It's Isaiah Bluebow. He says, thank you guys for the great coverage, HG and Cullen.
Thank you, Isaiah, for tuning in.
Yeah. Shout out to all the real ones who are tuned in here on a, Thursday afternoon.
Mason asks, Jade Walker, wide receiver 4 next year? Is wide receiver 3 off the table? He'll be on the team. He costs $1 million and proved he can play. So he will be on the team. I think in a world where they move DJ Moore, I could see a scenario, Cullen, where like they have 2 or 3 guys that are kind of competing to be that third guy. And he's probably in that mix.
Yeah.
Maybe you bring back OZ to be in that mix. Maybe you draft a guy in like the 5th round to be in that mix. So I don't think you just give Jade Walker the wide receiver 3 role, but I think he could earn it. I mean, he made some big plays when he was called upon. He just didn't have a ton of opportunities.
Yeah, and look, I'm not saying he will or won't be the wide receiver 3 or 4 next season. I just want to see him given more opportunities.
He deserves more opportunities.
In terms of just feeling comfortable with that. I'm not saying he can or cannot live up to that. But again, in spot situations, yes, he stepped up. It's different, though, whenever and again, he'll be in that scenario when you're lining up alongside Colston Loveland, Roma Dunze, Luther Burden. You're not going to command the most, crazy coverage, but again, just being that reliable third wide receiver, I like to see him get more opportunities to show that he can do that.
Yep.
But yeah, to your point, there's no reason why he wouldn't be in the mix per se.
Yeah. It would be shocking if he wasn't on the 53 with how little money he makes. He's proven he can play. He can play special teams.
Yeah.
So at minimum, he's on the team. Maximum, he's your third receiver and is kind of like a part-time starter. I think that's
there's a world where the Bears wide receiver room next year is the exact same as this previous year, minus DJ Moore, where it's just a 5.
Or there's a world that's just the same if they restructure DJ. I still think DJ will probably be gone, but yeah, I mean, Duvernay back as the kick returner, punt returner, wide receiver 5. I thought as the year went on, he really kind of found his groove. I'd be open to bringing him back, assuming it's not going to cost you much. And, if OZ, I mean, he was vet minimum this year. If that's the same, I think as a vet minimum, slightly more than that, cap hit player, he's solid. He's a great 4, okay 3. Put him in a competition with Jade and maybe one other guy. Let the best man win.
Someone says get Jalen Waddle. I would be shocked.
Bears are not making any wide receiver splashes, nor should they.
If Jalen Waddle was on the Bears.
He'd be electric in this offense, but I do wonder, I doubt that they would do this, but like, what if you could sign Tyreek Hill for like $8 million?
Obviously, if and when he probably gets cut from Miami.
Just thought. I don't know if they'd bring that into their locker room, but could you imagine a healthy Tyreek and a Ben Johnson yak-focused offense? Even if he's 80% himself. That's another thing. I don't know what he is after the injury, but
you obviously would
that would be crazy.
You would obviously, want him in terms of like get the best possible player available in your team. I feel like it would also slightly limit Luther's growth a little bit, and
that's another thing.
I don't know if that's worth.
And to Viper's point, is he worth the headache? Probably not. It's just fun to think about. All right, we got one more segment, and then we are signing off. Let's take a look at some free agent targets. It's coming up next here on Chicago Bears Now. I'm Harrison Graham. Here's what we got coming up on today's show. We'll take a look at the top 25 free agent targets for the Chicago Bears. We do this exercise every year when the season ends. Now, a little outlook background on the Bears, kind of free agency outlook. Currently, they have just a few $1,000,000, not much. Spotrac gives them roughly $3.6 million. Over the cap has a different number, so it's not much currently. But they can create as much as, I think, like $130 million, but easily over $100 million if they choose to. They're not going to do that much probably because that's a lot of restructuring and doing different things. But $40, $50 million, that's certainly on the table. Ben Johnson, Ryan Poles saying at their exit press conferences that, quote, big decisions, close quote, are coming when it comes to this roster. So you are going to see some movement with some current guys on the team, some internal free agents, and guys that they could potentially go after. My current top roster needs for the Bears right now, 1A, 1B, defensive tackle, and edge rusher. I think 3 through 5 is pretty interchangeable as well. Safety and linebacker, you could throw corner into the mix. Left tackle, depending on how severe the Ozzie thing is, sounds like he could miss a lot of the season. You could argue that should be higher on the list, but We did just see if you need to play Joe Tooney over there and plug in Jordan McFadden or Luke Newman at guard, you could do that. So I do think they at least have options there. Theo Benedict should be back as well. But that defensive line in particular is the first area I would look at in terms of trying to bolster this roster. What do you think is the top roster need for the Chicago Bears? Give me a specific position. Let me know down in the comments section. Okay, let's look at some internal free agents. Kevin Byard's a guy they want to bring back. We'll see on Jaquan Brisker. C.J. Gardner-Johnson has some versatility. He seemed to fit in well here. I think it would depend on price. I don't expect Nashawn Wright back. I do expect DeMarco Jackson back. Maybe Braxton Jones returns given the left tackle situation, but they'll probably let him test the market. I don't think Andrew Billings comes back. Olamide Zaccheaus, if he's cheap, could be back. Theo Benedict should be back. Jordan McFadden, by the way, is a restricted free agent based on the playing time he got this year. I thought he was an exclusive rights free agent, but he is restricted, so we'll see how they handle that. I do think they'll be able to get him back for relatively cheap. They'll re-sign a few of these guys anywhere from 2 or 3 to 5 or 6, depending on cost, and then they'll obviously look external. So let's do that. We'll go from 25 to 1. This isn't necessarily the top 25 free agents available, but just for the Bears, given price, position, etc. How about Khalif Raymond at number 25? A guy Ben Johnson is familiar with. Don't forget, those Lions players, some of them that become free agents and Ben's familiar with, he could take a look. Speed, return ability. If they do pivot off DJ Moore, could he sign here for cheap and compete for a wide receiver 3, wide receiver role type, or wide receiver 4 type? I could certainly see that. Cam Robinson, a guy we talked about a bunch last year as a left tackle option. He did not play that well this year, but historically has been a solid left tackle. He was with the Texans, and they traded him to the Browns, so it was kind of a chaotic situation. But according to Ryan Poles, Ozzie Trapillo's injury recovery could go deep into next year. So is he going to miss half the season? Could he miss all of the season? I think that is all up for debate. And a guy like Cam Robinson, can you get him for like $5, $6, $8 million and he starts on a short-term basis or at least gives you an option to play at left tackle? I think that could be a name worth looking into. Here's a fun one. How about Taysom Hill? He's 35 years old, but when he came back from injury this year, still had some juice. You can do different things with him. You can be creative with him. If Declan Doyle is still on this coaching staff, he was with him back in Detroit or back in New Orleans under Sean Payton a few years back. I think this is just a player Ben could have fun with, like on a cheap one-year deal. If Taysom doesn't go back to the Saints, he could retire as well. His career could certainly be over, but, be like a pseudo tight end 3 athlete type for this offense. We know Ben and the creative juices get flowing. If you could get him for cheap, I think it could be pretty fun. Another Saint, Cam Jordan, who Dennis Allen coached for a lot of years of his career. Now, I would have him higher on this list on a one-year type of deal. He's still really good, but the reason he's lower is I just don't think it's very likely. Nick Underhill, who covers the Saints better than anyone, tweeted this out. Cam Jordan said on the Set Show, there's a 94% chance, I think that's his jersey number, that he re-signs with the Saints if he keeps playing, but noted he also likes doing media gigs, finds that it's like being part of a good team. It seems like if he keeps playing, it's with the Saints and not another team. So I wouldn't give the Bears much of a chance there. But given the Dennis Allen connection, maybe there's a 1% chance it could happen. Here's a sneaky one. Calvin Austin III, who I've always kind of liked from afar. Pittsburgh obviously has had their offensive issues, different quarterbacks cycling in and out. Undersized, speedy receiver, but he kind of checks the box of what Ben Johnson likes, especially in role player receivers, yards after the catch, guys who can separate. I think Khalif Raymond or Calvin Austin as a low-end, speedy wide receiver 3, come compete with a guy like Jahdae Walker, could be pretty interesting. So I don't know what his market will be, but his production wasn't that good this year in Pittsburgh. Get him for like $4 or $5 million. I wouldn't mind that type of an addition to the receiver room. Boye Mafe, who is just kind of solid. Right? He kind of leaves you wanting more from a pass rush production standpoint, but he does get pressures. He's pretty solid against the run as well. He's a good rotation player. Like, he's kind of like, they're different players, but what do we always say about Austin Booker? Love him as a 3. can start if you need him to, but you'd rather have him as like your third edge rusher. It's kind of how I feel Boye Mafe, so you could add him to the rotation. He could play, half the snaps, stuff like that, so certainly wouldn't be against that. Teair Tart with the Chargers, just kind of plugging away. He's been just solid everywhere he's been. I do think the Bears need to try to bolster that defensive tackle position. And, I think trying to find one of these veteran bargain type of players that you're not going to have to break the bank for could be solid. Like Andrew Billings a few years ago when they got him was great. Good value, good player, but he's kind of over the hill now. Not a great scheme fit. I'm not sure how Dennis Allen views Teair Tart, but he was pretty damn good this year for the Chargers and shouldn't cost you a ton of money. Subscribe to the channel. We'll have you covered throughout the offseason news, rumors, free agency, draft coverage. It's all underway as the Bears season is unfortunately over, but never stops for us here at Bears Now. Hit that subscribe button. Devin Bush, who a few years ago was like, what's going on with him off the field? He's tweeting crazy stuff. Has kind of been reborn. Last 2 years in Cleveland, especially this year, he was fantastic. I think he led them in tackles. He's always been a pretty good coverage linebacker. He can play downhill as well. He had 2 touchdowns this year, a couple of pick sixes. He plays with good instincts and is pretty athletic. I think you'd want to do your research there because he's had kind of a chaotic career. But on a 1 or 2 year deal, $6-8 million per year, I think he could be an upgrade for you at that linebacker spot. Daquan Jones, veteran player. He's 33, 34 now, but can play both defensive tackle spots, can stuff the run. If you were to bring in like a pass rushing defensive tackle, he could start opposite of him. He could play in a rotation role. Just kind of a crafty veteran player. Alex Anzalone, who I have hated forever, but has made a lot of plays for Detroit. Obviously, Ben Johnson would have familiarity there. Now, would he want to come play for the Bears? I'm not sure, but he's going to be 31. Pretty good linebacker. Shouldn't cost a ton to bring him in. Again, the Bears linebacker position is kind of in flux. I think Tremaine Edmunds is probably going to get cut because it saves the Bears $15 million. Maybe he'd take a pay cut, which I'd be open to. Maybe, hey, his cap hit's 17.5. You want to cut that in half, Tremaine? Play for 9. If not, we'll just cut you type thing. Maybe the Bears, bring that to the table with Tremaine Edmunds. TJ Edwards coming off injury. Noah Sewell as well with that Achilles. DeMarco Jackson, I think he'll be back. But regardless, you're going to have to add at least one external linebacker to that room. Jadeveon Clowney, I pounded this table for months last year, and people thought I was crazy. He's just good. He's not great. I've always said this. He will never and has not lived up to being a number 1 overall pick. But he's just a good player. Had 8.5 sacks. The Cowboys signed him. Wasn't it like week 2? I don't even think he started the year with them. And he had 8.5 sacks. He's still good. Maybe it was training camp, but it was late in the process when he signed. He signed for like $3 million, and he had 8.5 sacks. I don't know how much it cost. Maybe it's like $5, $6, $7 million because he was productive, but he's always been good against the run. He's lost a little bit of that. He does have some knee issues, so like he's not as just dominant as a run defender, but he's kind of improved as a pass rusher later in his career. If you told me right now, hey, he'll give you 6 to 8 sacks, sign me up, man. Get him on board. You need more pass rush production. DJ Reader with the Lions. Again, some familiarity there with the Bears coaches on the staff. They're primarily offensive guys, but Ben Johnson went against them in practice. Another veteran defensive tackle, shouldn't cost you a ton of money. He's made his money, so he's probably on 1 or 2 year deals at this point in his career. If the price is right, I would not mind bringing him in. All right, today's show is sponsored by Ethos. When you bring a child into the world, your perspective changes overnight. That was certainly true for my wife and I when we had our son a couple of years ago. And for me, part of loving my family meant thinking about their future, even in the uncomfortable ways. Life insurance isn't a fun topic, but it's one you need to think about. And I'm so glad I found out about Ethos. I carry a lot of responsibility in my household. If something happened to me, there are real consequences like mortgage payments, tuition, everyday bills. Those things don't just disappear. Thinking about it used to feel overwhelming, but taking steps to protect my family financially changed that. That's why I got life insurance through Ethos. With Ethos, you can get life insurance in as little as 10 minutes. They have no medical exams, just a few easy health questions online. You can get same-day coverage without ever leaving your house. Ethos has 4.8 out of 5 stars on Trustpilot with over 3,000 reviews, so don't take my word for it. Thousands out there are saying it as well. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos right now by going to ethos.com/NFL Daily. In as little as 10 minutes, you'll get a free quote and up to $3 million in coverage at ethos.com/NFL Daily. That's ethos.com/NFL Daily. Ethos.com/NFL Daily. Application times and rates may vary. Okay, Kwity Paye, a Colts edge rusher. Do we want to go down that road again? Nah, you can't grade the helmet. Got to grade the player. He's kind of always left me wanting more, the edge out of Michigan, but solid player. Again, I would say like a decent number 2, great number 3 type of edge rusher. I'm not breaking the bank for Kwity Paye, but he checks some of the marks Dennis Allen would look for. Good size, good arm length on Kwity Paye. I could see the Bears being interested. I do like Joseph Asai as well. He has 10 sacks over the last 2 years with the Bengals. He's only 25. So he's still pretty damn young. He'll turn 26 in April, 10 sacks the past 2 years, and that's on a defense that has not been very good. Now, Trey Hendrickson's been on the other side, so that certainly helps a little bit. But, if you want to bring in a solid, again, a lot of these guys are similar, right? Like solid 2s, great rotation guys, depending on who you have in that room. It'll be interesting to see what the approach is for the Bears when they try to bolster this defensive line. Sheldon Rankins had a good year with the Texans. His pressure rate was good for an interior guy. He can play the run. I want to bolster that defensive tackle position. Remember Al-Quadin Muhammad? Remember Eberflus brought him over from Indy when he got the job, and he was like unplayable. It was like, this guy is terrible. Well, with the Lions, he signed there late last year. It was good down the stretch. Remember when they had all those injuries, was getting after the quarterback. And this year, had 11 sacks. 11 sacks. His pressure rate was really good. He's had quite the resurgence in Detroit. Again, Ben was there last year when they added him late in the season, so should have familiarity. He's obviously been in Chicago before, so I don't know what his market will be having this big year. Remember Dante Fowler randomly had 11.5 sacks or something like that last year for the Commanders, and I think Dallas got him for like $6 million. So sometimes you see these guys have these random big years, but they're not going to get huge contracts because historically they're more like rotation players. But again, like $6-8 million. Al-Quadin Muhammad, come give me half a dozen sacks. I'd be all in. Jalen Hawkins, fun player. He's really had a good year in New England, the safety for the Patriots, which, again, the Bears have 4 free agents at the safety position, 5 if you're counting C.J. Gardner-Johnson. He's done a little bit of everything for Mike Vrabel's team this year. 4 interceptions, 6 breakups, has a forced fumble, 72 tackles, 3 TFLs. I doubt you would add him and Kevin Byard. This would probably be more of a, like, if Kevin Byard signed elsewhere for whatever reason. I wouldn't mind Jalen Hawkins, only 28 years old, so he's good. And he's been a big piece in that secondary for a team that's playing in the AFC Championship game. Joey Bosa, I thought, had a pretty good year with the Bills. He also was able to stay healthy. I think he played in 15 of 17 games this year. That's been an issue for him in the past. He's not peak level anymore. He only had 5 sacks this year, but his pressure rate was still good. He does defend the run fairly well. I would not mind that as a veteran addition. I like John Franklin Myers. Now, he might get paid. He might be one of those guys that falls into the category of, he got how much money? Like, I'm not breaking the bank for him. I wouldn't give him $20 million per year, but maybe it's like 12 to 15, depending on what his market is on a 2 or 3 year deal. He's got 14.5 sacks over the past 2 seasons. And he can play inside and out. He can play edge. He can play defensive tackle. He's been good. He's still in his 20s, so I think he's going to be a guy that gets a lot of money. I'm not going to break the bank for him, but if the price is reasonable, I would consider it. Devin Lloyd, I got to include him this high. He's by far the best linebacker that's hitting free agency. I do not expect the Bears to sign him. I think some team, speaking of breaking the bank, might get him like 4 for $80. Like he could get, hell, he might reset the linebacker market. Who knows? He's probably going to cost too much, but if you cut Tremaine Edmonds and said, hey, we'll give you that $15 million per year, that would be a clear upgrade. Now, should the Bears pay that much for an off-ball linebacker? Probably not, but God, he was good this year, and he can play sideline to sideline. He can cover. He can play in the run game. He's become one of the better linebackers in the league. Odafe Oweh, remember he got traded from the Ravens to the Chargers. Had a really good year. 34-inch arms, by the way, so that's a Dennis Allen prototype. So I could see him being a player the Bears are interested in. Jalen Phillips as well. I'm not sure if Ryan Poles got involved with him at the trade deadline. We know they were interested in Jermaine Johnson with the Jets. When you compare these two guys this year, Owe got home more, but my God, Phillips generated a lot of pressure. 73 pressures, a lot of those coming with Philadelphia. He really played well once Vic Fangio got his hands on him. I do worry with these two, especially with Phillips they're both pretty young still, like in their mid 20s. I think Owe's 26, Phillips is 26 or 27. Like, I could see some team giving Phillips like $100 million. Like, I probably would not do that, especially on a 4-year deal. Like, if it was like 2 for $50, I would do that. But I don't know if I want to lock myself down for 4 years for Jalen Phillips. David Onyemata, he's getting older, but man, he's still good. Played next to Grady Jarrett in Atlanta too, so you'd have that familiarity. I think they overlapped, didn't they? I'll double check here. Let's see. Don't want to get my facts wrong. Yes, he's been with Atlanta the last 3 years, so they played together for 2 years. He will be 34, so he's older. Probably a 1-year deal. Maybe it's like 1 year, $8-9 million bucks. But he's really good against the run. He's not going to get a lot of sacks, but he does generate pressure. He dents the pocket, which Dennis Allen values. I just think Gervon Dexter has struggled as a run defensive tackle. I could see the Bears wanting to get better there. Top 2, Khalil Mack. This isn't just a nostalgia thing. He's still good, man. When he missed 5 games, I think he broke his forearm this year, whatever it was, early in the year. Only had 5 sacks in 12 games, but he still generates pressure. He is still very good against the run. He was one of the highest graded edge rushers per PFF in run support this year. I would love to bring him back for 1 year. He signed 1 year for $18 million with the Chargers. I don't know if I'd want to go that high, but 1 for 13, 1 for 12, maybe add some incentives in this year. Come on, Khalil. One more ride. Come back to Chicago. He's played for 3 teams, 4 years each. The Raiders, the Bears, and now the Chargers. Let's get you back in Chicago, retire as a Bear, go into the Hall as a Bear, chase a ring as a Bear, circa 2018, Khalil. Let's run it back one more time. And then Trey Hendrickson. I doubt the Bengals franchise tag him, given he finished the year hurt. He only had 4 sacks, and I think he only played like 8 games. But he is still an excellent pass rusher. He's not going to be great against the run, but if you put him opposite of Montez Sweat, who is better against the run than Trey Hendrickson, that's a more than formidable edge duo, and then you have Austin Booker as your third guy. I feel really good about Hendrickson on one side, Sweat on the other side, Booker rotating in a lot. I think you can do a lot worse than that. If they don't go after a Max Crosby or a Myles Garrett, I think the focus point probably pivots to Trey Hendrickson. He's played under Dennis Allen before back in his Saints days. He's the top free agent, maybe overall player this year, certainly pass rusher. He's only 31. It's not like he's 35. 2 years, $50 million, guarantee 35 or 40 of it. I'd probably be willing to do that. If I went on a third year, I think you would have to do like a 2+1, where the third year is mostly non-guaranteed. That was the sticking point with Cincinnati the last couple off seasons, was the amount of guaranteed years on extension offers. Well, with him finishing this year hurt, I don't think he's going to have a lot of leverage in free agency in terms of guaranteed dollars. So I think a 2-year deal, a 3-year deal with 1 or 2 years guaranteed is probably what you're looking like for Trey Hendrickson. And look, if you have to slightly overpay on a 2-year deal, I'd be open to it, because you're not locked down to him long term. And you pair him with Montez Sweat, and you feel pretty darn good there. Should the Bears sign Trey Hendrickson? The Trey Hendrickson rumors are back. Type S for sign or P for pass. Maybe this is the offseason. The Bears get Trey Hendrickson. All right, that's going to do it. Top 25 free agent targets for the Chicago Bears. We'll continue to discuss other free agent options. We'll probably do other types of segments related to free agency. So lock us in for that. My name is Harrison Graham. Hit that subscribe button and bear down. All right, we'll hit whatever super chats are left, and then we're going to get out of here. We got Takeoff Dave. Would you take away Ozzy's injury but sacrifice the Green Bay playoff win? Also can't wait for the draft. I can't sacrifice that win, man. First playoff win in 15 years. You beat the Packers. Injuries are part of the sport. It sucks. I can't take away that win. I think Ozzy would say the same thing, by the way, for what it's worth, as a competitor. Come on. You're taking away that moment, that win, that comeback. I can't do it. I can't do it. I don't think Ozzy would either. All right, good stuff today. we will be back tomorrow. Colin and I will be probably more on a Monday through Friday schedule, so we'll film some fresh content tomorrow for you guys. Now that the Bears are out, man, it still sucks, man. It'd be awesome if we were playing Sunday, but not meant to be. We'll be back tomorrow. Hit the subscribe button. Enjoy your night, and we'll see you guys soon. Peace.